Okay. People are going to question what I'm about to say. What if some of that shit is so big it can't be moved?
Is that what you're saying, Ross? Is that what you've been told?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
How big is big?
Big. So big they built a building over it in a country outside of the United States of America. I know that sounds preposterous, and I know, oh my God, you can just hear them now, the bleating debunkers.
I'm not one to ask people to burn sources, but if Ross Coulthart claims is true, he can cause disclosure by publishing the location. Completely legitimate request. Ross is sitting on disclosure. Period.
Good evening, folks. Welcome to Alien Addict on this fine and ginormous evening. Big, because it's a big evening tonight. We've got quite a few guests tonight, people. We don't have Ross Coultart yet, but I would like to speak to that man. Probably ask him some hard-hitting questions. I will say, Jay, fantastic interview. I hope you don't mind me using the clip at the beginning. He's a cool dude, and he's British. You know, we stick to us Brits stick together. And Lou Jimenez, he might be on it towards the end of the show. He's at work at the moment. Why I've got my arms out? Why? I don't know. Maybe I'm Jesus. Speaking of Jesus, Stu.
Good evening.
You editing Jesus? How you doing, my lad?
I'm good. I'm good. Excited for tonight.
Hidden.
Yo, hello everybody.
Otherwise known as the Belly, the Belly, and Sexual Material.
Dave.
Hell, Dave.
My spaceman.
Sexual Material. Got to embrace it, man. All that sticky goodness.
Which we've got a good mix tonight. We've got a real good mix. We've got Hidden down below here, who he's definitely not on Ross on board with Ross. We've got Stu that thinks Ross can. I did look for the Friends clip, you know, that Ross can, but I couldn't find it. And we've got Dave that doesn't have a fucking clue who Ross is, which is brilliant. And Lou coming on later on, hopefully, who will give his unbiased opinion. I'm pretty sure.
Please, Lord.
But I did get inspiration, not only from Jay's show, but I definitely got the more inspiration from Lou when Lou read out the tweet and said, because it's a good point. You know, if Ross Coultart does know the location of this building that's covering up something massive, then he literally is sitting on disclosure, because if he gives the location away and we can get to that location, unless, like everybody's saying, it's Antarctica, then there's only certain people that can get to that, and they're probably already there. What do you boys think?
I think Lou's right, I mean, I think he should disclose it. But that being said, Ross, because he's Australian, is in a weakened position because he has to have a visa to work in America, and he will not want that taken off him. And that's like a bargaining chip for whoever wants to threaten him. So he's got that issue ahead of him. So
Yeah,
he
but then
probably he wouldn't say anything because of that.
well, he just did. If it is truth, then he just said something. He just dropped the bombshell, hasn't he? So
Yeah, that's
he
true.
might as well. When you pull the grenade, you might as well throw it. What's the point in holding it in your hand? You know what I'm saying? That's why I don't believe him. All these people, like I said last time, they provide a good table for you. They invite you around for a dinner, and they give you nothing to eat. And that's what he's done. He set it up again to make people go into a frenzy. Just like where's Paul's video? You know, nothing. It's all a good talk.
What's
we'll have to
Paul's video?
Logan Paul, the one that
Oh,
filmed
Logan Paul, right?
I'm
Got you.
still waiting for that.
Where is it though? Where is it? You know, we're gonna wait for these people to give us something for a very long time.
Logan Paul will hang on to that until he can work out how to make as many bucks as possible.
Do you
And
reckon
then
if I start drinking Prime, do you reckon I will get it?
I think you might get
Maybe.
cancer.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, you might get a bellyache.
A guy was drinking that at work, and he says, "Do you want to try some?" And I that's for kids. Kids drink that shit. Crazy.
Indeed.
What a weird drink. You said something really interesting today, Stu. I think it was today, or yesterday, and I think I actually rang you.
Yeah, we've spoken on the phone.
And I was asking about Ross Coultart, and you said, about his reputation as a journalist as well, if he speaks about these things and people working with him, which I think so many people they won't think about that. They'll think,
yeah, I mean, Coulthard, about a month ago was probably very much in Hidden's camp, which is I thought he was full of shit. But then I thought, no, I've got to give the guy the benefit of the doubt. And I started to dig into his past and where he'd worked and who he'd worked for and some of the stuff that he's uncovered, some of the investigations he's done. And I mean, he's originally from the UK, moved to New Zealand when he was a wee lad. And then once he'd graduated from New Zealand, he moved over to Australia. And then he started working for the broadcasters in Australia. And from there, books have come and gone and different bits and pieces. But he's got a better, like the whole thing about him being fired, and that's a load of nonsense. I mean, he still works with and speaks to all the producers and writers and journalists that he worked with before.
is that from 60 Minutes?
Yeah, and from Channel 7 as well. So that's a load of crap. That's misinformation or fake news or whatever you want to call it. But I don't know who's pulling his strings. That's the hard part. Because he's gone from freelancing for Australian news channels to having a bigger web presence than before because of his documentaries and his book and that. And then all of a sudden, he's the man interviewing Dave Grush on News Nation, which he's had no relationship with at all prior to that. And he's now doing things with them. So there's something going on in the background. I'm not saying he's being controlled by anybody. I'm pretty sure he's free thinking and doing his own thing, but he's certainly being introduced to the right people by other people. Who I think would be Chris Mellon, but that would be totally just me guessing. There's no proof to that whatsoever.
I think a lot of us think it's Chris Mellon that is very much behind the scenes when it comes to this.
Well, I didn't know until today, and I put that in the chat, our group chat earlier on. He's married to bloody Rockefeller, so I mean, as well as being part of the Carnegie Mellon, the Mellon family, you know, his wife's a Rockefeller. She's cousin to, passed away now, but George H.W. Bush. You know, it all connects right the way through, and you know, closely linked with the Clintons as well. Which then
What a lovely mix.
it's just like, you know, that then brings in Stephen Greer, Bob Bigelow,
Oh yeah, you
Linda
sent me
Moulton
that.
Howe,
Have you put that
and
in?
yeah, I put it in.
Linda Moulton. Oh yeah, here we are. Yeah, there we go.
So if you sit there then and look at it as a grift, the grift is set, isn't it?
Yeah, the thing is,
Because it's all people. It's all people that if you just look at the surface, you think they're not connected, that they're all backing each other's stories up. But then when you dig, they are connected.
oh, the top end of ufology is completely connected. I mean, it's become very obvious that Stephen Greer, who's second in from the left with the pink polo shirt on, with a bit of hair and a beard back then, he always bugged me researching for the Greer documentary.
Greer
Why?
looks high as shit there.
For him.
Look at the guy next to him, man. He's like, whoa, man, these edibles are kicked in.
Yeah, but the Greer, it always bugged me that Greer went from supposedly being a successful trauma doctor into ufology full time. Now, if he did that off his own back, the gamble was high because at that point nobody was making any serious bucks in ufology. But it seems that if you look at the horse statue with, I think, a Native American on it, the guy with the glasses second in from the right, that's Lawrence Rockefeller. He's the one with the money. Well, it seems that he had Greer on the payroll to the tune of about 100 grand, and he used to pay J. Allen Hynek as well, the Project Blue Book dude, Close Encounters. He had him on his books as well. He had Bigelow. He basically helped set up Robert Bigelow there. But that's where Bigelow got his startup money. You've got Linda Moulton Howe getting all cozy up with Robert Bigelow. She was on his payroll, and I don't even know half the other folk that are in this photo, but they're all connected, and they're all got something to do with ufology in one way, shape, or form. So yeah, it's all connected. And
Is-
sorry, Hidden.
Oh, nothing. No.
I was just gonna say, like, and the fact that Chris Mellon's married into the family. I mean, Lawrence died a while back, and the last Rockefeller I think that was alive was David, and he died a few years ago, 6, 7 years ago now as well. So there isn't really any members of the Rockefeller family that are doing much in the way of ufology stuff, or showing a direct interest in it. But the trust that they have, which is the Rockefeller brothers, is still paying out to these people to this day. So work that one out.
That's crazy. It just we spoke about this quite often, Dave. Like when we came through to the States, like a lot of just conversations, just chilling about this kind of thing. But I didn't realize. I mean, we did a show, me and Lee last night, that will be going on the Rockfin, which is this one.
What's that again? What's that place again?
Oh, that's just an AI image that I did.
I was trying to get you to say Rockfin.
Oh yeah, Rockfin. Yeah, the Rockfin show. There you go. I think that show's going to go live after this show. But I didn't realize that so much of this stuff's kind of all linked into some really dark shit. The UFO stuff. And my eyes are only, I mean, forget the t-shirt. I shouldn't be wearing this really, because I kind of know what this stands for. Kind of.
A Crowley t-shirt.
I don't know. It's just some sort of triangle with an eyeball in the middle of it.
All-seeing eye.
Which, funnily enough, the intro for last night is still there. And I didn't even realize this. I was just looking to try and make an intro really quick, but check this out.
If this square, okay, represent, I don't know if you can see it with the glare, hopefully.
Yeah,
you can see this
we can
square
see
on
it.
this piece of paper
Yeah.
represents the human body, okay? And the human body has something inside the circle, which is called a brain. And that brain resides inside the body, and the brain is responsible for certain functions and biological functions that keep the body alive, keeps your heart rate going and your breathing. And your body, coincidentally, is also responsible for keeping the brain alive through circulatory processes and whatnot. So the brain needs the body, and the body needs the brain. And so the brain is responsible for thinking, the body is responsible for protecting and moving and sustaining. And that's what a lot of people consider life. But there's another element. There's another element to the human being, and possibly to all sentient life. And that is the notion of this triangle.
So I'm like, I know I was probably reaching there, but Lee saw that for the first time last night, and he was like, that's a bit weird. That's a little bit weird. The thing is, though, Lou hates Greer. So, I mean, if Greer's in or with these people, and these people are, you know,
What they are.
on the T-shirt.
Do they hate each other though?
I think they do.
Yeah, it's probably just acting, Dave. It's a bit of theatre.
Makes a good storyline.
I don't think they're smart enough for that. I think they do hate each other.
I don't think they come up with anything on their own.
They're smart enough to send.
Elaborate, Dave. Elaborate on that.
They both strike me as people who are handled right. None of them have original information. They always have sources. So even if they weren't complicit in some kind of cover up, whoever's feeding them the information is the best disinformation asset you have is someone who's excited about potential personal gain from clandestine or secret information of some kind. Because they'll say whatever you say, they'll believe whatever you want because they can see an opportunity for them.
It's funny you
Easy
should
to
say.
feed.
It is funny you should say that because the interview on Project Unity, which is the full interview, which is in the description below, people, with Ross Coultart, he did mention Stephen Greer, and he mentioned that recent conference thing that he did, and he said some of those people there are legit, which I found interesting.
Yeah, because we talked about that, and pretty much, I think the only one that's potentially legit is the guy that talked about Antarctica and the equipment down there that they've got on the go. But we kind of debunked. I mean, Dave did a classic thing by pointing out the obvious, which was the guy was going on about doing this, that, and the next thing, and seeing everything. And Dave was like, "What did you say, Dave? You should have signed the NDA prior to seeing it all."
If they're taking you somewhere that you're going to see things, even potentially, you've already signed. Not only that, he was an active in the military. They would just tell him to shut up.
Yeah,
like he doesn't have to sign it. Just this is an order. You got to disobey a direct order.
Wasn't he a private contractor?
But he was in the military.
He was
like
a
that's
reserve,
where he
was
got
he
hurt.
not?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
He wasn't very clear on that. So
no, I agree with you. I agree with 100%. What you said. Yeah, we went through that, and
yeah.
So he got some good actors.
On that same thing, like I know people who have walked into places too that they shouldn't have been, but they didn't really see anything. They just kind of walked through a place, right?
I've done that.
Yeah. They're like, if you would have opened any of the doors, you know what I mean? Yeah, this is suddenly a different thing. And at the level he's talking, you're talking national security. Like they don't care if you have an NDA. They can, you've seen proprietary national security secrets that are, relevant to the defense of the nation. They have a lot of leeway. You don't have to leave anywhere. Yeah.
Just remember the guy who made the movie Gray State, how he ended up.
Yep.
So you open up one of them doors, you'll end up with 2 bullets to the head, and it would be deemed as a suicide.
It's better to throw people off of buildings. Makes autopsy harder.
That's
Oh,
the
no,
thing
I know.
right
That's
there.
why I laugh. You're actually telling the truth, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if these people, like, if Ross isn't bullshitting, if Grush isn't bullshitting, it's coming from somewhere. We know Grush has just been told things. He's not seen anything. Ross has just been told things by sources that he trusts. Who are these sources that he trusts? Is it all coming? Are we all in agreement that we think it's coming from Melon, or do you think it could be coming from multiple sources? Because they make out.
I don't think it's. I don't think it's just coming. I don't think it's just coming from Melon, but I think it's multiple.
So you've got Melon, Lou.
Hal Putoff, is it?
I mean, isn't he just the guy that is making a few little gadgets at TTSA at the minute? Hal was a Scientologist. Probably, I think he still is a Scientologist. Once a Scientologist, always a Scientologist.
Is he? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, I didn't know
Well, that frames his worldview.
Who's a Scientologist?
Lee did an interview when he had Musty Audio with an ex-Scientologist. That was a great interview. I think it's still up on Alien Addict on Spotify.
Happy birthday, Lee! If you catch,
I was just going to say,
yes.
we should clear up. Lee's away out partying tonight.
He is. He's been taken out.
Happy birthday, man! Happy 21st.
Again.
he may pop in like completely inebriated,
so she said,
and get us a takedown on YouTube.
This guy was gonna go sometime, Ollie. He was gonna go sometime. Yeah.
I mean, the conversation we had last night, a lot of it I can't speak about on this platform because it'll just get us into a lot of shit. It was it definitely feels now, and I know there's a lot of channels out there that will say that it's all grifters, and that's all it is. It's just grifting. To me, it feels like it's leading somewhere, and it feels like they want you to go down this path. I don't think it's all about. I don't think it's all about the money.
No, it's well. Go on, Dave.
As I say, I feel like it's leading out into the desert in circles.
Yeah, a bit like Moses and his tribe.
Yeah, something like that. But there's, I mean, like the questions I have aren't who's giving them information. Let's say, does that even really matter? What is the purpose?
Yeah.
What's the end goal? If this is some kind of operation, there's a goal, there's an objective, there's something to be achieved. Like that is, and once you figure that out, then you can start figuring out, well, who would want to achieve such an objective? I have no idea what this would be. You know what I mean? Like, let's run these massive disinformation campaigns. Why?
I've been wondering what the end goal is myself. That's the one question I've asked myself.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not clear. You know, that's obvious. It's not clear.
See, I more lean to the side of Bluebeam now because they are talking actively about these things. I have information that the military have 3 satellites up in the sky. I know they have more than 3, but these 3 are special. These 3 are special because they have got holographic technology on them, and they are positioned in a triangular formation where they can beam down a signal. And when you culminate that with the spraying of the skies, you got a screen there.
That's a Rockfin show.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll be quiet.
No, don't be quiet. I'm just saying that the sky bit, that's definitely Rockfin.
But I see, I'm not one of these guys that plump out this this Project Bluebeam because I still am unsure of it. But I think I agree. We got to look at what is the purpose. But now that we know who's cutting the checks, yeah, we know it's not a good. It's not going to be anything that's going to help us.
Why is nobody else everybody's saying grift, but nobody's talking about that.
That's it. I never even heard of that, seen that picture before. So well done, Stu. It's you
Oh,
that
well
found
done.
it. Is
I'd never seen it. I guarantee there's not many people.
Yeah.
They hear Greer talk about it, but they honestly, people just say that Greer is just saying names.
Yeah,
That's what they say, but I
there it is.
don't think many people have seen that.
I think Greer was being guided up until about 5 or 6 years ago, and now he's kind of out on his own now. Which kind of, if you look at the content he's been putting out and who he's been talking to and things like that, and the way he's been speaking about stuff, he definitely is just reaching, and everything is a grift for him. I mean, he's the wrong side of 60 now, so he's thinking retirement. So he'll be wanting to make as much money as possible over the next 5 to 10 years, so he can live comfortably.
Hasn't he got enough though? Isn't he the one that has a brothel? Or am I getting confused with somebody else?
That was
The only
Bob
one
Lazar, mate.
that was Bob Lazar.
Yeah.
Oh,
He didn't
sorry,
ha- he
there
didn't-
you
he
go.
didn't- I don't think he had a brothel. I think
He's
just-
co-owner or something of that nature. See,
Yeah,
I don't.
So something to think about with this picture right here. Take this in. So that's taken at the Lawrence S. Rockefeller Preserve, right? It's 1,106 acres of a refuge within the Grand Teton National Park, which is a massive area. The Rockefellers set up their own private reserve surrounded by a national park, which is basically just all theirs because the main roads don't go all the way to there. You got to fly in.
I was going to say that the only way to get into that is either boat or helicopter.
So think about that's the kind of generational wealth and power. They're the people that set that up were there at the foundation of the country. Right? Like that's the people, like they're not normal people. Like we say these like they're the big bad boogeyman, and they are to an extent. But you have to take a breath and see that. And those kind of people are clearly vested just by looking at this group of people and guiding the narrative on UFOs, extraterrestrials, interdimensionals, ultra, whatever. These are their narratives they're putting out. Why?
I took a look at what the Rockefellers are into these days in terms of finances and stuff like that, and they're still very much into oil. They're still much into banking and stuff like that. But they have, they have diversified into media and also into alternative energies quite heavily.
And that's just the public stuff that you can look up. You know, that's not the holding companies that hold holding companies out of various other countries that, you know, things get squirrely. It's so why? So, I mean, just big brush, right? Big picture. Why? Why worry about this narrative? And it is a worry. They're obviously seeding. Look at the people that are there. They're
As an
seeding
aside, I do think back in the day, Linda Moulton Howe and Bob Bigelow were having a wee bit of stooping time.
Yeah. I mean, but
they look close.
Yeah.
I mean, think of some of the people in this picture. They have been at the helm of this topic for a long time. And each one of those people represent a different faction of this. Like they've broken apart the narrative. Was that the goal? And if that's the goal, why?
That's the bigger question, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to need to dig
that
into
is the question.
That's the question.
Yeah.
Why?
Henry Diamond, Bruce Maccabee, George Lamb, Dr. Leo Spinkle, whoever the hell he is, Keith Thompson, I've heard of. You've then got Dr. C.B. Scott Jones, Johnny
Never heard of
Jones,
him.
Robert Teets, and then there's another two people behind the camera. But the photo's been cropped, actually. I think there's another version of it where there's somebody else to the right-hand side.
Definitely
You
looks
just
that
can't
way.
see.
Also, those bullet are those bullet holes, Dave, on the wood?
Nah, it doesn't look
No.
like it. No. So I mean, why? Why these people? Why these people at their private mountain helicopter only resort that's isolated? What are they? Why? You're talking like the kind of wealth that can't be fathomed. You're talking about empires in the trillions, that there are no bounds. There are no rules for these people. They answer to no government. They steer governments. And yet they are heavily vested in a public way, in a way that they can hide themselves from investments and market manipulations left and right. But not with this, right? Because of the link that you have to have with direct people, not business entities and bank movements, but you have to have real linked people, and you have to get them to buy in, right? So the first thing is when you bring in an asset, you get them with buy-in. And of course, you have to figure out what their purchase price is for them to buy in, whether it's God and country, or it's money, or it's fame, or it's ego. And they've taken the time to do that. Everybody there, they have taken the time with. These aren't people who have friends, right? Everyone's an asset. Everyone's cattle. Why?
So these people at this event at the time was sold an idea.
Yeah, you're talking people who view other humans like cattle. You know, if you have a pig farm, you may have 4 or 5 favorite pigs for a reason, but do you take them aside and train them up and then release them back with the others? You hope that they train and guide the others, maybe? Do you want them to act as sheepdogs or, herding dog? Like, what? These people control a narrative. These people have shaped a narrative. And obviously this picture shows that was started a long time ago by powerful people. Why?
I also think there's potentially 2 different factions going on here, because if you take what's happening with the Arrow thing and those guys who don't seem to be able, they're toothless in terms of what they can do research and dig into, they just don't have the clearances. You've then got the Congress who do have clearance, depending on what congressman or senator it is and what committee they're on. And there seems to also be a faction within the Pentagon, which is kind of Grush's side of things, that want to release this information. I think there's people who have come into the military and are pissed off they can't get access to these programs because they're tucked away in private hands.
I'm absolutely sure that is, but it's still like that's a natural human reaction. You come in and you're in leadership and someone doesn't give you that. It all makes sense. I'm sure there's multiple factions, even at that super high level, but it still doesn't answer. Why are these people who run nations, who loan money to governments, who influence all economies, care about this topic in a way that's substantial enough that they bring people into their personal bubbles to influence and shape them? Because that's what that is. That's influence and shaping. Look at the looks on these people's faces that are proud to be somewhere that no one else is, with a group of people no one else gets access to. That's elitism. They're being brought in.
And I'm proud to get 100 grand a year.
Yeah, you're getting knighted. You're being made, right? This is your opportunity. Look at this stupid.
And that was 100 grand a year back in the 90s.
Yeah.
And that's 100 grand retainer. They can make money on top of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 100 in the 90s, 300 now. So
plus it seems that like Greer's property that he has, which you see on the Cousins Brothers documentaries and that's on Rockefeller land.
Yeah,
he was gifted that.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's surrounded by the Smoky Mountain National Park.
And he was gifted. He was gifted the land.
Yeah. So it seems. I would even go as far as to say chances are he was probably gifted the property as well, but I have no.
Is this allegedly?
That. Yeah,
this allegedly.
Yeah, it's always allegedly.
It was definitely gifted the land.
Yeah. So and that's even more. Why? Why do people at that level? Because these are the people. I mean, let's be real. If they really wanted to know a topic, they can buy senators. We've known from BlackRock employees from the last, outing that, it's 10 grand to get info, 20, 50 donations here. You get whatever you want. So these things are doable. You can hire former military personnel, get them away from that. They'll tell you things always slip, right? So it's not that they want information. That's not what they want. They want to steer a narrative in a public way. So they're bringing this cadre of individuals in.
But maybe they've lost control. Maybe
have they?
The Rockefeller people have lost control over.
I don't think
the
they
narrative.
have. I don't think they have. I think they're still a dominant force, man. We're still talking about their tune.
They'd silence them if they lost control.
Yeah, you get thrown off a building.
Well, there's hardly any Rockefellers left, so
We don't know.
Allegedly.
I mean,
So-
that's the thing. Like Rothschild, that wasn't their
Does
real
it-
last
I
name.
mean,
They changed it.
Does it need to be?
Yeah.
Does it need to be blood? You know.
Yeah, and we're
To be-
talking
to
one.
be
These.
one.
Yeah.
The
So
hive
what's
mind
going
mentality.
on? Why? Why would someone of that power want to
Well,
steer the
maybe-
public?
Maybe it's the old saying that these aliens ain't aliens. There's something else, and these guys know what it is, and they need to herald it in. I mean, just today I came across. Do you know about the red heifers, Dave, and the significance of the red heifers?
To the Israeli people or the Native American people?
Well, the Israelis.
Yeah.
Well,
I
I
don't-
came across
tell me
an
about it.
article about. I came across an article today about that 4 red heifers are being delivered to Israel, pure red heifers. So red heifers is kind of like, it's all prophecy.
Yeah.
And it heralds in the prophecy. They need the red heifers to sacrifice. And once they do that, you know, if the prophecies are real, then boy, we're in for some good times.
I mean,
That's very true with Digital Vortex is written there.
Yeah. It's so why? Why would they shape the view on the UFOs and unknown phenomenon going into the new millennium? They grabbed these people. They grabbed a doctor. They grabbed a wannabe real estate mogul, Linda Moulton Howe, a few other people who, you know, are persuasive speakers, have that magnetic energy, and whoever the hell the rest of these people are. And I got to be honest, if we looked them up one by one, our stomachs would probably drop. So they've invested. They and not only that, they're at the family ranch. Like they're being brought into the fold. Why?
Why indeed?
Why are they taking the time to get buy-in? Why are they taking the time to get believers? Why are they taking the time to mold them? When you're at that level, you can buy and dispose people all you want, right? You can blackmail, you can corrupt, you can leverage. That's what, you know, these random pedophile islands around the world are all about. They didn't do that.
Do you think they kind of maybe lost a certain degree of power and influence after 9/11?
Nope. I think they gained it. I
Exactly.
think all the laws written across the world were for their betterment. Yeah, all the techno, like the people like the NSA and MI6 and all these different things that view all the technology they bought are held from corporation that they held the majority control and they see the information first. Right.
The
They're using
reason why I'm
their
saying
their
that is
technology.
because obviously Greer did his first press conference back in the May 2001,
Mhm.
and that was starting to gain traction back then. And obviously, this is prior to like YouTube and social media and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it takes a while for that information to kind of work its way around the
Yeah.
chat forums and that of the day, IRC and stuff like that, and it all went away on September the 11th.
So
They
I
lost the
should
narrative.
clarify the narrative went away for the public, but not for people like us. They're not concerned with
we
the
are a
general
very
public,
small part of the.
but it doesn't take a lot of people to start a fire.
No, that's true.
So why do you think to kind of, because we haven't gone off track, people, by the way, we've just diverted, but
Oh, this still all hangs on
and I
Coultart.
want to ask you this, Dave, because you know very little about the guy. Why this guy? Why this journalist who introduced Grush to the world, who is now making big claims, big being the main word,
Mhm.
but not backing it up with anything, saying it may happen? Is it just a case of, do you think it's a bullshit thing, or do you think that
I don't know
this
anything about
guy?
him.
No, but you always get. I know you. You get a feeling for people. You know the guy interviewed Grush. You watched the Grush interview. Do you think he's just got lucky, or do you think he's been picked for a reason?
I think at that level, there's luck has nothing to do with it. Has nothing to do with it.
I think it comes down to credibility. Coultart's actually got credibility. I mean, his early career, got the stuff up in front of me here, started in the early 1990s for newspapers in New Zealand and Australia. It's 96, he moved over to 60 Minutes, which is a big deal in Australia as an investigative reporter.
Good job.
He won a whole host of awards, the Gold Walkley, Logie Awards, and all sorts of things. In 2006, he joined Seven Network's Sunday night program as chief investigations reporter, which at that stage of his career was a big deal. He remained in the program for 6 years, during which time he continued to win loads of awards. He's got loads of accolades as an independent journalist. He's written several books: Dead Man Running, Above the Law, Charles Bean, Lost Diggers, The Lost Tommies, Secrets for Sale, Inside the Global Offshore Money Maze, just to name but a few, as well as the latest one that he did on the UFO phenomenon. He's highly respected as
So
well.
that's the
He's
ideal.
a good point, man. Yeah.
That's what I'm trying. Thank you. You're taking the words out of my mouth, man. He's an ideal guy. You can go look at his reference and say, yeah, he looks like a stand-up guy. All of them have good pedigrees. They all could do it. They all could say it.
I think
I come with something like what the last tweet that you read from Lou, where he said, give us the location. Then you come this far.
Mm-hmm.
Why not go all the way? Stop teasing people.
I utterly agree with you and Lou, and I think it's the same with like Greer, and it's the same with all these people. They supposedly know stuff, but they're not willing to tell us. Lou Elizondo as well. Let's just share the wealth and just get the disclosure out there and get it. Blow the lid on it.
What's
Do you
the worst
believe
that
he's
can
being
happen?
told that though, or does anybody think that he made that up? Do you believe that somebody has told him this?
Yeah, definitely. The thing is, if he let's play this out. Let's say he heard this from somebody in the Pentagon, and it's been backed up by evidence. He might even have been taken to the building and seen what's inside it. Okay, I'm just guessing.
He knows the location.
But he knows the location, right? If he lets that slip, that it's either Antarctica or the Atacama Desert or South Korea or
Millennium
UK,
Dome.
yep, the Millennium Dome, whatever, then basically he's going to lose all his trust with all his contacts immediately. He's not going to get anywhere near the Pentagon. His, background sources are just going to freeze up and disappear. He's going to lose everything. So it's not worth it to him. If he was diagnosed with a terminal cancer tomorrow, which God forbid, I hope the guy never has that, but if he was diagnosed with a terminal illness tomorrow and he had nothing to lose, then I think he would tell us. But because he's got everything to lose, he's not going to spill the beans. He's doing the right thing in that he is guiding the people who potentially can spill the beans to spill the beans. In the same way that when he did that interview with Jay the other day, I guarantee you, off camera, Jay was interrogating him for the location of that building.
Afterwards,
Yeah, because I sure as hell would.
I honestly think, I'm not arse licking here, but kind of am a little bit. I do think Jay does a great job, and I'm kind of glad that he's from the UK, because I think as somebody who's into the UFO stuff, I think he's from Britain, and he's a young chap,
Yeah.
God love him, all respect to the guy. I get what Lou said on Lou Reviews, that he should have said, well, come on, give us more. He should have probed him a little, pardon the pun, but I get that. But I also get, as somebody who's getting these good guests on, he's just had bird shit on. How do you say it? Bird shit.
Yeah, bird shit.
Dave likes him. Dave
I've met him. Yeah.
Get him on Alien Night, Dave.
He probably would come on.
He probably would.
He's a cool guy.
He is a cool guy.
Just make sure I can pronounce his name.
Yeah, don't call him bullshit.
He would actually think it was. He'd probably think it was hilarious.
But he's just had him on. I think it was I actually listened to it coming home. It was a 20-minute interview. I just think It just seems like, and I'm going to play.
Okay. People are going to question what I'm about to say. What if some of that shit is so big it can't be moved?
It felt to me like he knew at some point in that interview he was going to say that. It didn't. I don't think that was spontaneous. I think he went into that interview with Jay. No, because he also said, if you remember, I always save something. I always like to save something juicy for you, Jay, or something like that.
Yeah, that's right.
I think he knew that he was. I think he planned to say that in that interview for some reason. Now that him just wanting to get people talking about him.
It could well be that he was sending a message. He could be he could be sending a message to somebody in the Pentagon or one of the other 3-letter agencies to basically say, "Oh, I know about this," so you can read me into some other things.
But going back to what you said about him being able to get more people like Grush in his career down the line, that's a bit of a risky game. So
yeah, but he's going to have to walk the line sometimes, take it up to the edge.
So you don't think
he hasn't told his shit apart from saying there is a big ass UFO that is concealed by a building, and then as Hidden said earlier on,
didn't say UFO. Live, I don't think. Did he say UFO?
Craft, I think he used the term. Craft.
I don't even know if he used craft.
Can you play it again?
I'll play it off the actual channel, right. Which Jay's channel, Project Unity, is in the description. The actual video is in the description. Go on, carry on, Stu, while I find it.
So, yeah, he could be playing it close to the edge because he wants to get more information out of other people. You just don't know. But it's really, I mean, as Hidden said before we came on the air, I mean, Reddit went nuts for this, and they're still continue to go nuts for this. It's just gone bananas trying to find the location, and some of it is very outlandish and some of it's very credible. I mean, I would go for the Atacama Desert in Chile. I would say if it was going to be anywhere, it will be down that neck of the woods, but that's a big bit of land down there. It's not. It's thousands and thousands and thousands of miles.
Available to the all-domain anomaly resolution office.
Yeah, but Ross, doesn't that just give them 6 months or more to hide their shit?
Let me just
6 months. Dean Johnson's written it up the best, where he writes about how the new Senate intelligence bill that Kirsten Gallagher is pushing, it gives holders of non-Earth origin or exotic UAP material 6 months to make it available to the all-domain anomaly resolution office.
Yeah, but Ross, doesn't that just give them 6 months or more to hide their shit?
Okay. People are going to question what I'm about to say. What if some of that shit is so big it can't be moved?
Is that what you're saying, Ross? Is that what you've been told?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
How big is big?
Big. So big they built a building over it in a country outside of the United States of America. I know that sounds preposterous, and I know, oh my God, you can just hear them now, the bleating debunkers. Let's see this investigated. Let's just see what happens. Let's test these allegations before the Congress. It's very, very easy for people to go, oh, there's no evidence. Oh, my goodness me. Let's just go away and ignore it. Let's test it. We haven't even got there yet. There's a whole cadre of supposed experts on social media who are saying it can't be, therefore it isn't. And that's been the default for so many years. It can't be, therefore it isn't. Imagine if what Mr. Grush is saying is true. Think about the implications of that. And imagine if, as I've just intimated to you, some of these objects are not capable of being moved because they're too bloody big.
So he refers to them as objects.
I mean, that's pretty
Yeah.
astonishing. Have you said that before?
No, you're the first. See, I always
I
say
think
you, Jay.
was it second?
Always save me a little something.
Always. Couple of things. Firstly, having now watched this, I think for about the 8th or 9th time, I think Jay teed that up for him. The way he brought that into the conversation, I think that was pre-arranged, like you say. The other thing is, it's definitely not Antarctica because Antarctica's not.
Well, so
a country, it's a
you think
continent.
he told Jay he was going to mention that before?
Yeah, I think they've talked about it prior, and the way Jay teed that one up, that was like a softball, hit it out the park job. And he said it's a country, so it's not going to be Antarctica because Antarctica is a continent.
I mean, he may have said, I get what you're saying there. He may have said, listen, I am going to give you something on the show. But unfortunately, you can't ask me anything on the back of that.
Yeah, I mean, if Jay had pushed him a little bit more, but again, it all comes down in like different rungs of a ladder. Jay wants to be able to call upon Ross, and they're quite friendly now. You can clearly see
I get
that.
it. I get Jay's point of view.
So he wants to
Absolutely.
call upon Ross in future interviews and be in the loop. So he's not going to damage that. Whereas, like, if we got Ross Coultart on here, you and I would not
Burn that
interrogate him,
bridge.
but we would ask the questions that people want asked. Whether Ross chooses to answer them is another thing entirely, but we wouldn't hold back. Whereas Jay is holding back because he wants Ross on again. Whereas we're like, no. We're going to ask you. We're going to be polite and respectful, but we're going to ask you the hard-hitting questions.
Okay. Ross or somebody else. It's just this randomer comes on, okay, on Alien Addict, and before the show says, "Listen, I'm gonna talk about this, but you can't ask me X, Y, Z afterwards about it." What do we do? Do we not do the interview?
Well, you've been in that position before.
Yes, I have.
Twice,
With
3 times
Dave,
since I've been involved with the
mainly
channel.
with Dave.
Yeah.
No,
because there was that night that orphan red girl, she came with stipulations, and I wanted to come on and challenge her on what she was saying, and you were like, "Sorry, dude, you can't do that." Another one was the Billy Myers guy. He was not up for debating.
Well, yeah, because I think if it had brought too many people into that, then the debate would have gone because he'd have just left. Because he's like, I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah, but even just with you and Lee there, he wasn't up for discussing it in detail. He put his foot down and said, "No, I'm not doing this." Talk about it in some other way, and you had to kind of work around it. So I mean, you've been there, and I think that's the problem.
But the difference is this is important.
Oh God, yeah.
The other stuff that we've done before,
it's just entertaining.
The Billy Myers stuff is not important.
No, it's purely speculative entertainment. But this has got far-reaching consequences. I mean, I don't know about Dave, but I want my flying fucking car. I want to be able to travel from Scotland over to see Dave for an afternoon and go back again.
Well, that's kind of the thing. Like he said, it's an object. What
Didn't
kind of
say
object?
craft.
No, he says object.
He says what kind of object? Never said craft.
No.
He said object. They found an object.
Could be a Stargate.
I literally was going to say that there, and it could be a bloody Stargate.
It's an object.
And we're all assuming it's a UFO. But
I assume nothing. I assume that everything that they put out is purposely there to disinfo you, discredit. Like they want you looking over here, so you're not paying attention over there.
Well,
the left hand, not the right hand.
I personally could not get away from this story because wherever I was looking for like the footage from my channel, wherever I was looking, this story was it was everywhere. And one of the places I go is Reddit, and it set it on fire. And then YouTube, there was channels talking about it, putting up pictures of some building in the Korea. I get confused between north and south, but they put up some picture of a circular building.
Yeah, I tried to find. I mean,
South Koreans wouldn't let Americans get away with that.
you think?
Not at all. They would. No. Samsung would be the biggest entity in the world. Let's run that it's legitimate and somebody's investigating it, right?
Oh yeah,
Not
I know.
Samsung.
You know quite a bit about Samsung. Yeah.
I know quite a bit about interesting.
Yeah.
Which we can't talk about why, but
Yeah, because Samsung's like the biggest chunk of their money making is military stuff, isn't it?
it's most companies at that size.
Yeah, like Hyundai as well.
Yeah, but you're talking about researching this unknown. I mean, Americans would not allow Samsung, who's really just South Korea's, industrial and technical arm. I mean, they are the GDP of South Korea, basically.
Mm-hmm.
They are South Korea. So that wouldn't be it. Asian countries would be immediately ruled out. It's not in Africa. South America.
Middle East.
I think it's too volatile over there.
Yeah, it's not Middle East.
Why not Africa?
So no one's in control in Africa. Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
There's not one country in Africa that's stable enough.
Yeah, I mean, none of them had the same government for 10 years.
Or not under Chinese influence.
Yeah, and there's no major technological discoveries in, like, archaeological digs, sites. There's just not in Africa.
If we could have some sort of timeline, he just gave us nothing. If we had a timeline of when this building was supposed to have been built, or because we could even look and say, could it be Dubai? Because they were doing a lot of building.
It's South America. It's 100% South America.
Why?
Various reasons. America has treaties in place that keeps all other countries out from our meddling in South America. We're heavily involved with all governments there. We have military presence throughout. I'd say Panama or Colombia. Could be Colombia. I could see that.
Is Colombia not too volatile as well?
We keep U.S. Special Forces presence there. We have for
Mind blows. Mind blows. Definitely trying to pull the Sphinx. He wants it to be buried. He wants the Sphinx to be built over it. He's definitely on Egypt, man.
Yeah, but the American government has massive compounds.
What if he's actually right? There was really 2 pyramids, and the third one was built to hide this giant object.
Thousands of years ago.
Yeah, it's just as good as what Coultart said.
Yeah, but the way he says it is that he's got American he does imply that he's got American control over it.
Does he?
What if they found it when they were digging the canal?
Oh, Panama Canal.
That's why we have massive bases and training centers there, not just to send rangers through the Darien, but
yeah, because everybody's assuming, and I am going to play devil's advocate here that Ross has been told this information, and this information is correct.
Yeah,
I know. If Lou comes on, he's probably we're probably gonna have a good like back and forth debate about this, because I know he probably thinks Ross is talking out of his ass.
Could be Germany,
but what if?
No. I think South America.
Everybody's assuming
they have the prehistory setup, megalithic sites. They have they have Incas, Aztecs, Olmecs. You have sites built in Peru. You have the Cloud people. You have Nazca lines. You have massive histories of these people that were coming and going, and it's all through there.
Well, the reason why I think it's the Atacama Desert in Chile is because the amount of money that the US are pumping into the telescopes and radio telescopes and astronomy stuff over there is ridiculous. Like it's almost a third of NASA's annual budget they're getting.
Yeah,
that's a lot of money.
It's just from going with what. So that's one clip that I have, but I would say it's South America. It's got to be South America.
MK says it's Greenland.
No, it's not Greenland.
And he's calling us numpties.
No, so. Let's say he's telling the truth.
Thanks, MK.
Yeah, let's say he's telling the truth. The guy, and taken from that information, it would be South America.
Need to
Do
get
you
him on the
think?
show.
So Dave, do you think Ross looks like he's telling the truth?
I don't know. I don't have a baseline. I'm not. I'm not a.
He's been
lie
okay.
detector.
You couldn't tell from his face because he's got so much Botox going on.
Yeah, that's just the Aussie sun, mate. That's just the,
No wrinkles, eh?
I mean, yeah, but so I think Stu makes a point. The guy's got credibility. He'd be a good guy to run out and lead. That makes total sense. He's not an American, which would be critical. Yeah,
He ticks the
South
boxes.
America. Yeah, I mean, if it's legitimate, like I would think. I mean, what the hell do I know? Nothing. It'd be South America.
I agree with you there.
Because we're pretty aggressive about keeping everyone out of South America.
See, I hope somebody from Reddit is listening to that because they, if there's something there, they'll look, they'll search, and they'll come up with some possible candidates.
Panama could potentially be a good shout because not only is there the original Panama Canal, they've obviously dug the second one now. And flooded more land and built a lot of buildings.
It's so big. The object is so big, it can't be moved.
So people are assuming. Let's just say this. Let's go total devil. Let's totally go devil's avocado.
That sounds delicious, by the way. That sounds like it would be on like a wheat toast with a
Yeah.
slice of avocado and like an over medium egg and like 2 strips of crispy bacon.
Bit of hollandaise sauce.
A little bit.
Oh, I
spicy.
get that. Yeah, it sounds delicious.
Okay.
Poached egg. Poached.
You make me hungry. Poached egg, yeah.
Good name for a restaurant if anybody fancies doing it, because I ain't gonna do a restaurant. What if this thing they stumbled across it? Because people are assuming, some are assuming that it's something that we've built and we're covering up. Some people are assuming that it's a crashed. He didn't say any of that. He didn't.
No.
Am I missing
assumption,
something
yeah.
here?
Yeah.
Is-
I
assumption?
think they're going to have stumbled across whatever it is because it's just too big.
So people are making the argument. Okay, you can't just fucking all of a sudden something's crashed or something's landed and it's not moving, and then we're gonna have to build a building on it. But what if you actually found something and then it's like, okay, we've revealed something underneath the earth, and there's something there.
Mm.
They've
not saying it's-
excavated it. They found it. They covered up what they found.
Oh shit, it's too big. We're gonna have to cover it up.
They would leave themselves access to it. You could research it. You would build something over the top that would allow you access. It doesn't mean you'd excavate the whole thing. It just
There's an
means you would
entire-
excavate something that you could gain access to.
Isn't there an entire pyramid covered up in is it Mexico? Tennessee, is it?
Mm. They found proof of Egyptians, and they built a dam on top of it.
So that's not the one that I was talking of, but there's also one I think in Mexico that Graham
about
Hancock
hiding
was
it.
talking about, where they literally built a church on top of it.
My God.
Yeah. I mean, it's all alleged, but there's a giant dam on it now, so ain't nobody looking. I've been in some, if we had a time frame.
Somebody's put his, MK's put his Guatemala.
Trust the source.
There's not enough infrastructure in Guatemala. No, it's not Greenland. Guatemala. I've been in Guatemala. It's not in Guatemala.
I do love
I'm liking Panama.
Panama or Colombia?
Yeah.
Let's jump.
I'm
Panama
not so
or
sure about
Colombia.
Colombia because Colombia is ridiculously mountainous.
That's why it would be good there.
Mm.
Yeah, so if they found it by accident, so this is the assumption I'm running in my head. They found it by accident. It would be Panama when they were doing excavation, because they didn't just start this is what we're doing with the Panama Canal and we're going. They were doing core samples. They were sampling soil. They were mapping. There's different ways to get across. They didn't actually take the most efficient route. Oh shit, they didn't take the most efficient route. Huh.
Stick up what Digital Vortex has written there, Ollie. Why would Ross know or feel free enough to
What's that?
casually
Dave
talk about
just
it?
had a light bulb moment, I think. What were you going to say,
All right,
Dave?
then.
Why would Ross know or feel free?
I think because that was teed
Could
up. I think,
somebody read that out for the people that are
why
listening
would
to audio?
Ross know or feel free enough to casually talk about it as an aside if he's trying to protect his sources? If true, this info would be tightly restricted and those who knew a small group. I still
Define
reckon he's
small group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still reckon that's a message for somebody else. What he's done is a message for somebody else.
I don't know.
Right, what was your light bulb thing, Dave?
Did they take the most efficient route?
What, for the Panama Canal? No, they didn't.
They did not.
No, they
But they
did not.
definitely surveyed it.
Yeah. Johnny Harris has got a
You're
really
going to have to
good
explain that to me,
story.
because what do you mean by that?
So
Like,
before you dig, like they built the Panama Canal from one ocean to the other ocean, and then had to go up. It's got locks. It's an engineering marvel. There's shorter paths, like they could have moved less earth, and they didn't take it. But they would have absolutely surveyed, and even back in the day, they would have taken soil samples, core samples. They would have drilled down and said, "Hey, is this alluvial soil? Is this granite? Like what are we going to have to excavate to do this?" Because that matters too when you're building things underground and you're excavating. Like, you know, putting in a water line isn't a big deal if it's only 2 feet down, but if it's all stone, it's suddenly a very big deal.
I tell you another thought. There was thousands killed during the making of the Panama Canal.
Oh yeah, they were selling cadavers. They pickled them and sold them as cadavers. Yeah, that was the number
So, I
one
mean,
export of Panama for a long time.
If anybody, yeah, true story, that one. See the movie Poltergeist. There's the scene that the
Love that
cadavers
film.
are. Yeah, well, those are from Panama.
The scene
bodies.
in the pool.
Yeah. Those are the real bodies, which they didn't tell
Yeah.
the actors at the time, but they came from Panama because it's in the
Bloody hell.
documentary.
Bloody hell.
So that's just what Dave's saying.
You
But-
moved the bodies, but you left the stones. No,
Yeah.
you moved the stones, but you left the bodies.
The bodies, yeah. But yeah, I mean, there was literally thousands upon thousands of workers just killed through like malaria, yellow fever, you know, all the good diseases that you would get in a jungle environment. But what if they discovered something, they came across something, they've ended up putting a building on top of it to cover it up, and they've made sure that the people that helped build the building disappeared.
Yeah, mind blown. We've done an interview with a few people. Well, one of a YouTube channel that does work with the ocean. I've forgotten the name of the ocean liner that does work with that has been down to the Baltic Sea anomaly. That is way back on the channel. There's a couple of live interviews on that. But that thing's not covered up. That thing's got sea over it. They haven't put a building over it. So I don't know.
Can I ask you a question?
It's still been investigated, that Baltic Sea anomaly.
What did they reckon it was when they went down to it? Is it metal? Is it
not just stone?
It's still being investigated. Apparently, every dive costs a shitload of money. Like
it's $250,000 per dive.
But surely the first dive would have turned around and said, "Look, it's stone, it's metal."
It's definitely there's something. I've never heard metal. So Thomas, who's been on the channel, says he thinks it's something from what they're saying, something ancient, because it is stone. That from what they've dug up, but there's also a trench near it as well. There weird.
There's a couple of decent documentaries on it on YouTube if folk are interested in that.
I was in one of the very first documentaries about that when I had the Alvis 51 channel. They got in touch with me and said, "Do you want to be on this?" And his channel was named Mars Moon Space TV at the time, and I'm like, he goes, "Send me everything what you think." So I'm like, holy shit. I thought it was a Mars question, but he's asked me about the Baltic Sea anomaly. I'm like, I don't know what it is. So I quickly look what it is, and they just sent them something in. So I am randomly in an interview on a documentary going, well, it could be alien.
It's the Millennium Falcon.
It does look like the Millennium.
Yeah, it does.
I don't know what it is. I think my gut feeling is it may be a... do you know the like Victorian steamboat things that have the circle in the middle?
Mm.
That it could be one of those, and then you've
Victorian steamboat with circle in the middle.
Yeah, it's got like it's got like a circle, and it's got a wheel that goes round. Really old fucking Victorian thing.
Right.
Old Mark Twain stuff.
Oh, you're talking like a riverboat type thing.
What they call them? Yeah. Paddle boats.
Maybe, yeah.
I forgot what they're called, but they spin around and churn the water.
They're just the steam paddle boats.
I don't think it's a crashed spacecraft at all. I think it could be like something that, you know, what Graham Hancock talks about, and an ancient.
What ocean is it in?
It's the
Baltic. It's in the Baltic Sea.
Oh, that's why it's called the Baltic anomaly. Yeah. You're an idiot.
It's where it is they get a lot of hassle, obviously, from Russia, because of the naval presence in the Baltic Sea.
Paddle steamer.
Dave's going to bring us back on with
to reality.
Go on, David.
Oh, I was going to say that I don't think it's Panama.
Why? Why are we switching away from Panama now? I liked Panama.
Because they have 8 in Peru.
8 what?
Military bases. The United States operates 8 military bases in Peru.
So that's next door to where I was saying.
Yeah.
Interesting.
What's that?
It still doesn't explain.
Also have 9 in Colombia.
Okay,
like 76.
Let's just say Ross is not speaking out of his ass.
I don't think he is. I'm gonna get off.
At least he doesn't think he is.
Yeah, he doesn't think he is.
I think that guy who said he's doing a documentary on the photo, he made a good point. He said that by just talking about it already, he's already burnt some bridges.
Has he? That what I was just about to say, or was he given permission at some point? With maybe they said, "Oh, at some point you can speak about that. Just don't name the location."
Whoever's mentoring Ross and guiding him and giving him the breaks that he's had in News Nation and stuff like that, potentially has allowed for that. I definitely think that was a message for somebody else. That wasn't for us. That was to let somebody else know that he knows more than they think.
So let me in the loop, bitch.
Yeah, basically. So you can get more information. Because he seems to have gone from being interested in the loop to being part of the loop.
Knowing something, yeah.
Yeah. Dave?
It's apparently Stargate, the TV show, is real, huh? Who'd have thunk?
I mean, Twitter's gone mad.
I love that show.
People have been putting like pictures of buildings going, could it be this building? Could it be this building? Could it be this building? Could it be this
building?
It's
the same with Reddit. Reddit's going absolutely nuts over it.
I'd wait till 4chan picks it up.
They're on it as well.
Those scary bastards will figure it out. Weaponized autism. Hell yeah.
I like that. I like that. I'm going to use that somewhere. Weaponize
they're-
autism.
They're
It's a good channel
incredible,
name.
man. Yeah.
They are. No, they are.
Yeah.
Another interesting point I was just glancing at Twitter there, and Mick West stuck something up that the Arrow Defense Department
Oh,
of Defense Arrow
share it up,
Department.
Stu. Bring it up.
Oh, it's on my iPad. No, it's literally just going through unidentified anomalous phenomena in general. The term unidentified anomalous phenomena, or UAP, means any object, and it refers to object. And I just thought, oh, that's just what Coultart's saying. Is literally he's using their language.
Hasn't Mick West written another book though? Down the Rabbit Hole Part 2.
Oh Christ only knows.
They all got books coming out, so they all got something. Could I just ask a question though? And this is one thing that always bugs me about the whistleblowers. Why are they not being vilified? Like when Bradley Mannings came out and started talking stuff, and he wasn't talking about UFOs, or I don't know, but he got vilified.
They changed his gender, man.
I know.
They broke his mind. They locked him up and tortured him. Yep.
I know. So why are these guys saying all these things and they're not being vilified?
Because they're supposed to.
Do you understand? Do you guys see what I'm trying to say here?
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
A man who actually said things that wasn't controlled, they made him a woman.
Yeah, look what they did to Snowden as well.
Don't talk.
Chased him around the planet.
That guy's another joker, man. He always comes out and says he knew the information about something that happened after it happened. Why didn't you say before? He never says anything that happened before. He's another dribbler. Sorry, I don't mean to speak bad of these people. I never do.
No, mate. Opinions matter whether people agree with them or not.
So is that what you guys think then? These people are not being vilified because they're part of this narrative that is supposed to be said.
Yes.
I don't think that about Ross. I think Ross has probably been. I do think he's been handpicked because, like, he's
definitely been headhunted for this, no doubt about it.
Yeah, and does he know that what he's doing when it comes
care?
to? Does he care? I mean, he's doing his job.
I think he's as curious as the rest of us.
He seems like an intelligent man. He's probably as suspicious as we are, but at the same time, he's still doing what he's good at, which is being a journalist. And it's probably giving him a little bit of excitement because it's fucking aliens and UFOs. Let's face it, that's exciting. Whether I mean, let's face it, he can't do anything else now other than aliens and UFOs.
Yeah, he's put him in the same camp as George.
That's his thing now.
He's done now. Yeah.
He's got to stay on that train.
He is committed to that.
He can't leave that train now. That train he is staying on, no matter what.
Well, he could, but it would have to be something just as outrageous in terms of conspiracy level. Like if he switched over to the GFK or Flat Earth or something, it has to be something really just as outlandish, potentially as UAP, UFO stuff. That's the only way he could jump to a different topic. But I think that's him. He knows he's going to be like George Knapp, the UFO guy. And I think he's accepted that quite happily because you're talking like there's probably a dozen books in him, like in terms of what he could be doing over the next 20 years. All the conferences that you can talk to, he will always be the go-to guy when this all dies down. He'll be like Nick Pope. He'll be the go-to guy that they bring on to Fox and CNN and News Nation to.
You see right there, MK. I get what you're saying. Ross is old school. He's just selling books. I get what you're saying. The guy's selling books. That's factual information. He's selling books. So fucking what? He's selling fucking books. That's his thing. He's going to sell some books. He's successful in what he does, but
Hey,
that doesn't stop. That doesn't explain where he's getting the
sells
information
books.
from.
I sell books.
He's getting stuff. He's getting stuff. He's getting information. He's feeding his family on the back of it, but there's still information being fed to him. Whether that information is bullshit or not, and don't get me wrong, it probably is bullshit, because I think they're feeding us a massive, big pile of shit because they're wanting to steer us in different directions, all of us.
I feel like there might be truth to this one.
I agree with Dave.
It's so different.
The end game is where we're sticking. We don't know what the end game is.
Yeah, they're still in
But
control of the narrative, but this is
But
different.
the information, plus the way they've played Grush out, I mean, that was a stroke of genius, because he has all the clearances, the credibility again, and he basically, although he hasn't seen this stuff firsthand, he's in a position to have known about it. So that means that he has plausible deniability in terms of getting caught up in any kind of criminal aspect to this.
The man of the
Even
hour
Lou-
is gonna rip us a new arsehole. Lou, welcome to the show, my lad. How you doing?
Hey,
How you
one
doing?
second, man. I didn't want to interrupt mid thought there. Finish your thought there, Underbelly.
I wasn't speaking, mate.
It was
But how
me.
you
Excuse
doing,
me. I'm
Lou?
sorry. Who was that?
It
Who
was me. It
is
was
it?
me.
Okay, sorry.
To be honest, I kind of forgot. So hi, Luke.
Sorry.
We're
Hey.
starstruck, Lou.
God, please don't be. I'm nobody.
I'm playing, man. I'm playing
Yeah.
with you, man.
How you guys doing? Sorry, I just
Yeah,
got
All good.
just got done with a 10-hour shift. I'm yeah.
Good, mate. We had we got the inspiration from what you said on your show the other day when you read the tweet, and literally I took the title of what you read out and made this the video. That
Excellent.
Ross Coultart is sitting on disclosure.
No, he's not. He's not sitting on shit.
It's all bluff.
He's not sitting on a fucking thing. I think he's taking Stephen Greer's story and he's adding a couple of sources and calling it a new thing. There is no way, no chance I will put anything I have. I will quit my acting career if there is a building that had to be built around a crashed or new saucer. Either one, doesn't matter. Take your pick. There's no way.
But
There's
that's the
no
thing.
way.
He's not. We just looked at the interview again, and he didn't say. He said object.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we speculating now. Could he have found like a Stargate or something? You get what I'm saying?
I
The
mean,
Holy
maybe,
maybe the Holy Grail.
maybe a really interesting archaeological find.
Could
Yeah.
that's
That could be.
Possible.
Mhm.
You know, I personally, I don't think it's anything. I think he's making it up. Personally.
I agree with you.
I think it's, and maybe not making it up, but heard it from an Eric Davis or somebody like that, and he trusts that as a source, and I think he would consider that a source, along with Elizondo, Cahill, pick whoever you want. Whoever
Chris
you want
Mellon.
within the Defense Department, Chris Mellon, any of them. I think all of those guys are considered sources, and their names are used when needed, and they're omitted when they want to sell more books or bring attention to something. You know, he says he has multiple sources, and that the object is incomprehensible how big it is. Like,
He could tell us how big it is. I
So
think
she
he
said.
should disclose
he can
that.
tell us how big it is. He can say the shape. He can say the dialect in which the country was fucking from. He could. There
The
are.
time it was found.
Is it cold? The time, the year it happened. He said decades. This is decades ago. This happened, and not one construction worker, Not one person that mans or does security or fucking is a goddamn janitor there, and nobody with the top secret clearance. Nobody's talked about this. This is the first time we've heard about, other than from Stephen Greer a few months ago, this is the first time we've ever heard a claim like this, ever. And if you consider things like MK Ultra, if you consider things like the SR-71 Blackbird, if you consider any top secret drone strikes, like none of these things, illegal drone strikes specifically, none of these things stay secret for more than 30 years tops. And that's pushing it. That's really pushing it. Yeah, I think he's full of it, personally.
I see what. Go on, Stu. No.
Say, if the craft's in another country, they don't speak English, and they're maybe not quite third world, but they just don't have access to media like we do, and then potentially there could have been people involved with it that do know something that you're never going to reach.
I think if there was something that incomprehensibly big in a third world country, why did we hear about Varhinia then? That's nowhere near big of an event. Not as many people would have worked on it or seen it. And yet we have a movie and a documentary and books and TV shows and all sorts of stuff circulating about a fourth world country, possibly in Varhinia, Brazil. Like, it is in the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And that story has made mainstream news. I mean, we've heard about secret pyramids in Antarctica for decades. Decades. Is it true? I seriously doubt it. Wouldn't shock me though if somehow, some way, some long ago civilization, maybe it was warm down there at one point, on the planet
most
Earth.
Most of those pyramids though have been found on Google Earth. So let's
in Antarctica.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, most of them.
No, I mean, send me the info. I'd love to check it out.
What I'm saying is most of these people have found stuff on Google Earth. Now, Google Earth is renowned for pixelation, mapping problems where they've overlapped maps, and also, so I years back I did a video on somebody that put the pyramid out on Antarctica, and I'm like, you've put that on from Google Earth. You're looking at that from a satellite, Come back to me when you can show me an actual picture of a pyramid in Antarctica, and then I'll speak to you.
Right. Or documentary or some sort of scientific announcement that has said that. Like, my point being is all of these stories permeate in some of the most remote places of the world. I mean, for God's sakes, the Ariel school sighting in 1990, whatever, that was incredibly remote. And the craft, incomprehensibly big, crashed into the earth, and it was so big they couldn't move it, and then had to facilitate and bring in a construction team to build a housing unit around it. And that story never made it until Ross said it on Project Unity.
He never said a craft. I'm going to play.
Right. He said shit. And he said, but he's inferring, right? Like, he's not inferring US tech. He's not inferring archaeological find. He's inferring a craft for me. I mean, maybe I'm taking it a step too far, but I said it in my video, like, these are questions that could have been asked by Jay. And because
Jay definitely served him up softballs.
That's what he always does. If Jay just even ask him the simplest of questions, like where? When? Is it a craft?
You said this,
is it an archaeological find?
So Lou, you said this, and you that video is almost like a message to Jay, because you've had these people that, I'm sorry, but I'm going to use the word, they've used you.
Yeah.
They've used your platform I've got a lot of as a Brit. I've got a lot of respect for Jay. I think he does a fantastic job. He's a great interviewer and he's very intelligent.
He's not a great interviewer. Let's be clear.
I think no, he does good interviews, but he could have asked better questions to Ross. But I think Ross may have said to him, "Listen, I think that was always going to be brought up. I think that thing was always." And Stu said he may have even told Jay before that he was going to mention this because that came from fucking out of the blue.
I don't think he told Jay. Jay seemed genuinely surprised, and I felt like just the telling of it came off incredibly natural. Like it didn't for me. It didn't feel planned. Of course, I could be wrong on that.
I think he planned it from the point of view of like he's teed Jay up and said, "I've got something for you tonight."
That for sure, he probably did, without a doubt.
You know,
that I'd agree with.
Rather than,
but I don't think he got specific. Yeah,
no, I would agree with you there.
I think Jay is, like I said in that show, like that discussion between Greenwald and Jay regarding the Wilson memo notes was incredibly interesting. I still side with John Greenwald, but he can articulate himself. He can argue his viewpoint, but he's not a good interviewer. He does not ask bone-cutting questions, which is too bad because I feel like he has the intelligence and the temperament to do those kinds of questions.
Yeah.
And they don't even have to be that off-putting. I mean, did he ask one question other than you got that from, I guess, a reliable source? Were there any questions outside of that he asked about this, whatever it was? You know, the world changing. No, not one question. He never does that when it's people like Ross Coultart, because number one, they're friends, or at least he thinks they're friends. And that's what these guys do. They buddy you up. They make you believe that you're friends, and therefore journalistic credibility or integrity will never be questioned because we're friends.
Is that what Lou did?
That's what all of them do. That's what all of them do. They make you their friend. They friend you. And so that way, when you start to question them, you're always going to go back to, fuck, man, they're my friend. I don't want to do that. You know, like, you never want to call out your friends, but that's what real friends actually do. Real friends call each other out when they make mistakes or they're doing or saying something stupid. I've had my real friends, my real life friends in my real life. I told this story actually a few times the last month, and I'll just go ahead and tell you guys here. Like when I first moved to New York City, and this was 2002, 2003, when I was in high school and when I was a dumb, stupid Florida boy who had not been exposed to the world, I would use phrases like, "Oh man, that's so gay. Don't be so gay." Right? I moved to New York City, and one of the first parties I went to, I used that phrase to describe something. And one of my friends in the party grabbed me by the arm and took me to the hallway, closed the door, and said, "Don't ever fucking say that again around me. And if you do, I'll either knock you out or we're just not going to be friends anymore." And at first I was very shocked and taken aback, and I was confused by it. And then he started to explain, "Do you realize how many gay people are in that party that you were just in?" You know, and I knew that. I wasn't saying it to be hateful or to be, homophobic. That was just how I grew up. And it was naive and it was young and I was stupid. And I've never done it since that day. And that guy is one of my best friends in the world. And having those moments where you could pull your friend aside and say, "Bro, what the fuck are you doing?" I've had those moments with Lou Elizondo. I've had those moments with all of these guys behind the scenes where I'm like, why?
what the fuck are you doing? Why are you saying this? This is confusing. Why are you saying this here, but you aren't saying this here? Like, I gave them those chants as a friend until I got pushed to the point where I was like, okay, I can't be the friend anymore, like, or pretend to be. These people are not my friends. They want me to fall on swords, and they want me to give public apologies for shit I didn't even do. Like,
so
to answer your question.
So with you, I never had a problem at all. I was kind of envious in a way. I looked at your channel, I looked at the guest you were getting, I thought that's fucking amazing. Wow, he's doing the number. But my respect went up the minute you fucking destroyed it. Because I'm like, why would you fucking do that? Why the fuck would you do that? Now, I don't mean to bring that up. We've done that. We've already spoke about that. We've done that thing. But do you not think this is more than just a grift?
Okay,
have you ever asked yourself that question, that this is not just about how much money you can make, that it's leading to something?
It's a grift, and I think I figured it out. I said this the other night on my show, and it hit me. Let me just take a look at the exact moment it hit me when I was watching a certain thing, but I'm having a brain fart right now. Let me just look at my.
What kind of grift do you think it is, Lou?
What's that? Okay, so
what kind of grift?
So it is, I think, a government contract grift. So it hit me when Marco Rubio was speaking, and this is why I talked about Marco Rubio the other night, when he had that clip on Hannity the other night talking about, and they ended the segment with UFOs. But the thing that struck me was the very beginning of that segment, how they were so ashamed and shocked by cocaine in the White House. And Marco Rubio said some really cute shit along the lines of, it gives a new name, or it gives a new meaning to the name White House. As if Marco Rubio, who's from Florida and is Cuban and lied about how his family left Cuba and grew up in cocaine distribution houses and made money from cocaine dealers, not only his family, but him, paid his loans through people like this to have any sort of, and then turn around, prosecute drug offenders to the fullest extent of the law while giving his brother-in-law a shorter sentence on a drug charge, on a cocaine drug charge. Instead of serving 30 years, 35 years, he only served 10. Like, this is what Marco Rubio, and when he said that, something clicked in me. And at the same time, Ryan Graves, the same day, was at Senator Gillibrand's office talking to Senator Gillibrand about God knows what he's talking about. Apparently, it's the Americans for Aero Safety, or whatever his organization is, that's raising money, and on Capitol Hill for some reason. I think what's happening is there is a huge they have generated a huge public interest in the topic of UFOs. And idiots like me encourage people to call lawmakers to look into it. They did it along with mass media news coverage. And now you've got legislation in place and constantly evolving. You've got budgets being made. You've got scientists being gathered. And I think this is a long play. I think it's going to be a 10 to 15 year grift that at the end of that time, we're going to find out there was nothing to this, but turns out all of that stuff was just our tech. And I think what's going to happen is these laws are going to pass. The government is going to have a couple of hearings. And in these hearings, people aren't going to be satisfied. And then what's going to happen is you're going to get independent contractors like Boeing, like Ryan Graves, like Tim Gallaudet, like Sean Cahill and his little organization, and like Avi Loeb, and his organization, and they're going to also submit for these government contracts to get a more independent answer than the Pentagon, because they are going to throw the line out there that the Pentagon is lying. They're hiding information. They're not being honest with us. We need dollars and budgets to independently look at this. And I think that's the grift. They're going to submit. They're going to say, hey, I'm a former F-16 fighter pilot. Look at my team. It's made up of whistleblowers and former Pentagon guys. Please give us a contract. If they, let's just say, approve $100 billion, which is not crazy. That's not a crazy budget in the U.S. and military NDAA budget. $100 billion, Avi Loeb gets 20 billion, maybe. Ryan Graves gets a $10 billion contract, or $500 million contract, or 300. Who knows, dude? But with $100 billion, you could give a lot of independent researchers budgets to look at this. And then after they look at it and Congress goes, okay, what did you guys find? Sorry, we didn't find anything. But thanks for the cash. Thanks for the cash. And I think that's what this is, man. It's a fucking huge grift to get a bunch of money, wasteful spending, basically. I think you got a bunch of ex-government guys that are not happy with their pension. They're not happy how they left the military. They feel they're all pissed off with the military for some reason. And I'm not making that up. All of them have a gripe with the military on some level. And I think this is a great way to give a little bump, a little pay raise to that pension, a little bump and pay raise to that retirement, while saying you're doing research, just like they did with ATIP. ATIP was a $20 million thing that turned out to be a bunch of drunks on Skinwalker Ranch making up stories to continue the budget. And that's exactly what this is. This is the OSAP program on a much grander scale. And then in 15 years, when people go, what the fuck? How did we spend $100 billion on this? They're going to go all the way back to these legislative days of today. And they're going to look back. Oh, this is how it happened. And it's going to trace right back to Lou Elizondo and Christopher Mellon and Tom DeLong.
Dave, can we come to you for this, because you know more about your government than us three English blokes?
Yeah, I mean, it would be more than independent entities set up to bid on government contracts. But like, what is it? Lou Elizondo works for Radiance Technology along with Travis Taylor, and they're doing the TV show. But the bulk of their work isn't actually optical physics; it's human intelligence.
Right.
The Radiance Technology works on like psychological operations. That's their bread and butter, and they're based out of Birmingham.
And all of these guys are based out of SCU is in Birmingham. Their conference is in Birmingham. All of those guys in that conference, that is literally the cradle of the military industrial complex.
Yeah, Lockheed Martin, part of Skunk Works, is there. A huge part of it. Yeah, they keep everything in steps.
They've come up with a great way to get money, basically.
How does an independent person like myself get my hands on some of this money?
You have to have a very good friend with military connections and pay them a bunch of money. That's the reason you get like wired generals get jobs at places like that. They use their friends to leverage to get money for projects. That's their sole purpose. You see that too, like, not just government, but corporations, engineering firms, whoever their business development assets were, usually were in government at some level.
I mean, go and look up the Americans for Safe Aerospace website and take a look at their advisors. You've got Alex Dietrich, David Fravor. Okay, I'm just going to read off the names that everybody knows. Brian Bender, Tim Gallaudet, Avi Loeb, Gary Nolan, Christopher Mellon. You bet your ass the first people that are going to start getting dollars when these budgets start getting approved is going to be Americans for Safe Aerospace, because they're going to have an independent body of people that could give you a fair assessment of what this is. We're not going to hide or lie to you. And it's going to be OSAP. It's going to be just a bunch of bullshit. nuance, blurry bullshit for 10 years to a point where people eventually just go, what the fuck is this? Just like they did with OSAP, and they shut it down immediately. And then, you know what? Nobody gets to talk about this for the next 100 years because now everybody knows for sure, again, that this is bullshit. Dude, it's, I name me any other motivation outside of that, and I don't think it totally makes sense. This one, to me, makes sense at all levels because, again, you've already got these guys in the ears of senators and lawmakers that are sit on these committees and influence these laws.
So I'm going to speak about something that I do know about, and that's the UK's greedy motherfuckers that are in charge of this fucking country. Okay, so how come those greedy motherfuckers are not a part of this? Our country doesn't give a shit.
I think because there's so many pigs at the trough. This is just one. This is
one. Surely that's the grift. That's the grift. And
you're asking why aren't there more people in that grift?
Our country is full of corrupt motherfuckers that run it. You know,
right?
I've forgotten who's in charge of it because you know, every 2 minutes we've got somebody new because somebody quits the job. You know, but you're saying that this is essentially this is the people in charge. That the power of your country, that are supposed to protect your country, taking advantage of it. So why they're not doing it in my country?
Because this is just one game at a huge trough. There's so many other ways to rip off the government in a similar way. I think Lockheed Martin does it all the time. I think Raytheon does it all the time. I think Boeing and all of these military contractors rip us off all the time. They charge us a premium price. They build the really cool toy, and then they turn around and charge us premium dollars for it. It's a racket. It's a racket. And these guys have just figured out a way to start a new racket within and make it legal. That's all they're doing. They're legalizing their racket.
Have you ever seen this photograph? Go on, Dave. Sorry.
I was going to say, so you say they're expanding the military-industrial complex under the guise of UFOs and aerial phenomenon to increase the budget.
They don't need UFOs in the phenomenon to expand the military-industrial complex. That happens every year with or without UFOs. I think they know that. Okay, basically they're going, hey, this guy's spending $100 every day. Okay, let's say just break this down to the simplest of terms. But he never counts the change when he buys stuff at the counter. He just takes it and goes. Sometimes he doesn't even take the change. What if we just took 50 cents every time he came in the store? In a year, we'd all have a lot of money, you know? And like that's what's going on. And I think the machine is so big. And the reason why nobody is going, hey, what's going on, is because the public is genuinely curious about this. They genuinely want an answer because the information is so bad. And so I think here's what's also going to happen in this process as well, is the government is going to, again, they've already got the Aero Office. They're already paying these people. There's budgets being spent. They're going to get Title 50 authority, which means the office will get a little bigger, at least for a time being. They're going to study both from NASA and from the Aero aspect, and they're going to come with a conclusion for Congress in 5 years. When they genuinely, scientifically look at it, they put it on the murder board. They rule out every single thing, and they're going to come to Congress and they're going to say, okay, here's our definitive and final report on UFOs and UAP. And they're going to give a whole bunch of things and scientific reasons as to why it's not alien and it's prosaic. And a lot of these things are new tech, new drones, space garbage, misunderstanding, all of the things other than what the community is dying to get from that report.
people are going to hate it. The UFO community is going to fucking say it's all bullshit. They're going to scream at the top of their lungs and say they're lying. They're holding back information. And then that's when this new grift kicks in and these independent contractors come in and start figuring it out, the answer for them. And then that goes on for another 10 or 15 years. And then eventually a president or a politician or a speaker of house is going to say, okay, enough. Why are we spending money on all of these independent contractors looking for UFOs? And in 15 years, we haven't found anything. And then they're going to kill the program. And by then, who cares? Who cares if you got a whole community of pissed off people? Nobody's going to care at that point. Because then at that point, I think most of the world will go, okay, this is bullshit, and move on with the rest of their lives. But it'll be, yeah. And that's why I always, think about what Lou Elizondo said, man. Like, disclosure's not it's not a day, it's a process. Like, they always have laid out the groundwork for, hey, this could take 15 years. This could take 20 years. They've said that multiple times. On every one of them have said that. Even Ross Coultart has said things like, the Tic Tac, maybe it was ours. Like, he's said things like that. So they're covering their ass while also telling sensational stories. It's like they're lying and telling the truth at the exact same time. And it might sound crazy now, but I think in 15 years, when this is all said and done and this dust settles, I think conversations like this are going to age like a very fine wine.
But you've seen them. You've seen it. You've seen something.
I was 13. I was 13, Ollie. That's not proof. My experience is not proof, and I'm never going to put that on the fucking table as such.
No, but
I need more than that. I need more than that.
Okay, but your story,
yeah,
to me about the big yellow thing,
yeah,
that you and a bunch of your neighbors or the party that you were at all witnessed.
I haven't talked to any of those people in 30 years.
How can I put this? I don't think, and I'm not blowing smoke up your ass, I don't think you're a liar. I think you've been let down. But I think I don't buy what you're saying with memory. I don't buy because
Ollie, I'm not saying it wasn't a diamond in the rough what I saw. Maybe it was something extraordinary. Maybe it was something from another planet. Maybe. But I have no proof of that. And when you have this conversation, you cannot bring that to the conversation. It's a data point. It shouldn't be ignored. I will never forget it. But I also know that the mathematical probability of that being a plasma ball is a lot better or a lot higher. I wouldn't say better, but it's a lot higher than that being an alien craft. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going to rely on a 32-year-old memory to determine what the truth is when we're having this conversation. And that's all we're looking for. And if it turns out that craft was alien and this process proves that, fucking awesome, man. Then I was wrong, and I'll eat all the crow in the world, and I'll do the apology tour for years, just like I've been doing the confession tour now for almost a year. Like, I've got no problem with being wrong on this at all. But until you could put something on the table that could take my experience and prove to everyone else that I was right about that, then it means nothing. It means nothing, unfortunately. As much as I hate to say it, it means nothing. And it doesn't count. Like, it doesn't count. And neither does David Fravers, and neither does anybody else's in this room. We need more than that. We have to have it. We have to have it. At this point, it's like enough of the stories, enough of the anecdotes, enough of what you saw, and I know you, and I trust you, and this and that. Enough trust me, bro. Like, we're past trust me, bro. Like, you should take my story with the
with the biggest grain of salt. It's a story. It's one that affected me my whole life. It had a huge impact on me, but I don't know if that was alien, man. I don't know that. I don't know that. And neither does anybody else at that party. You know, and I haven't spoken to any of those witnesses since that day, except for one.
You should.
I understand I should, you know.
I know
like,
you said
that shit takes
a lot.
money.
You said
you know,
fell
like
out
that was gonna be like I was gonna film that, you know, for the channel. But shit happened, you know, and I had to pivot. I had to pivot, man. Like I've got a lot of ideas like that, and I'm in talks with a very interesting production company, and they like a lot of these ideas I'm pitching. So maybe one day I'll be able to do that, and hopefully I'm not too late. A lot of the adults are still around that were there that day, and I would love to talk to them because I really want everybody else's. If I could get 10 people to talk about this, that would be awesome. But you know, that's why if I seem, I want an answer to that. I want an answer to that, but I'm also really, you're right in that I'm let down. I'm let down, and a lot of my cynicism is coming from that feeling of being let down. And I've been let down big time, but not by the stories, but by the people closest to these stories. So, you know, man, like as much as I appreciate like the support for that story, and it's a cool story, but that's all it is. And none of us are allowed to use it as proof. Not even me.
Have you ever seen this picture?
What do you got? I think I have. I see, is that Linda Moulton Howe there in the middle, and Stephen Greer with the beard?
Yep. Next to Bob
Bigelow.
Bob Bigelow.
Yeah.
Well,
And,
it tells you.
And there's what's his face from Ariel School Side, the Harvard. I'm sure his name is on here. Where is he? John Mack. This is what, like, when I see and hear stuff like, you know, because every time I go to the best skeptics, like a Mick West, like, or really good historians on this topic, when I go, well, what about John Mack and the Ariel School sighting? I get, well, John Mack was, all of his work was sponsored by Bigelow. All of his work was sponsored by Bigelow and paid for by Bigelow. That's how he was able
to bounce.
No worries, Stu.
Thanks,
Stu,
guys.
Stu, just before you go, who's the guy?
See you, Steve.
Who's the guy next to the horse and the Indian?
Lawrence Rockefeller is
Wow.
second in from the right.
Yeah, and this is taken at JY Ranch in Wyoming, which is the Rockefeller
Right, guys,
private
catch you
estate
later.
within the Grand
Thanks, Stu.
Tetons.
Just
Ciao.
See you, buddy. It can only be reached by
See you,
a
Stu.
helicopter. It's a 1,000-acre private reserve within the Grand Tetons that they did before. I mean, they've been there since the founding of the country.
I was not aware of this until Stu sent me this today. He dug this out, and
Yeah.
I find it quite amazing that these people, and yeah, it's a lot of conspiracy there, and I understand that. I know you're not a conspiracy guy, Lou, not anymore.
Yeah.
But these
No,
are
it's not, I
fucking-
mean, conspiracies are real.
These are fucking powerful people that have.
I see one powerful person.
Yes. What's his name, Dave?
Lawrence Rockefeller.
Yeah. I mean, so Stephen Greer has dropped those names for a long time now. I actually didn't. I just thought he was dropping names. I'll be honest with you. I'll put my hands up and thought the guy was just talking shit. He's dropping names, but he's there with Linda Moulton Howe, with Bigelow. It looks like Bigelow and Linda are quite close there, and I'm just like, are we being played? Are we being played for a long time?
No, I think that even rich people fall for fairy tales.
So you think this was these people presenting to the Rockefellers?
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're having a UFO conversation at a getaway camp.
You've obviously not watched the documentaries that I've watched.
Which ones?
I don't know if I can say it on YouTube, so I'm not going to say it.
I probably have. I mean, what are you getting at with that photo? Are you saying that?
So
they're reading. They're
one of the most powerful families.
People, right? So why would he sit down with a bunch of kooks and
why would he even
listen
give
to
a
this stuff?
shit?
I think rich people are fucking weird. Rich people are fucking weird, and they're usually really bored. And if you had all the money in the fucking world and you could fly people out in private jets to fucking give you presentations on something you're curious about, you wouldn't do it.
Cheers,
you know what I mean?
Welcome.
Like, look how weird Epstein was. And all of the weird rich guys around him.
Yeah, but that wasn't for information. That was a blackmail operation with cameras.
I mean, I think having private meetings with powerful people on remote islands there's all sorts of room for nefarious shit to happen in situations like that. You know, so but that also doesn't mean that they were doing anything nefarious at all. They could have just been whatever, there to network. You know, not everybody that went to that island, I think, was a bad person.
What if you're wrong?
Maybe I am, but you better have some proof if you're going to make.
I've got no proof. I've literally just seen this today.
Yeah.
I've literally just seen this today.
I mean, I could be wrong. You know, I could be wrong, but I mean, Bigelow turned out to be a real fucking weirdo. And if you've heard some of the stories that I've heard about Bigelow these days, nobody can find him. He's running around. Nobody can find him right now. And he has a little bit of an addiction to ladies of the night, we'll say. He's a wild man. Like, I mean, we've heard stories of him and Bigelow, or him and Lazar and Knapp partying in Vegas. Fucking Corbell was running a brothel. Like, all of these guys are weird sexual deviants on some level. Like, especially the rich guy, like the Rockefellers, and you know, look at Armie Hammer, the Hammer family. Like there's rich people are fucking crazy. Just because they're rich doesn't mean they're smarter than you. Doesn't make them better than you or have more knowledge than you. They're just eccentric.
I absolutely agree with that. My only problem when it comes to the Rockefellers is they literally, they're not just rich people.
Yeah.
They're ungodly wealth people who buy senators like I buy a pack of gum.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, if they wanted information, they'd just go to the government and get it. And some senator in a back room for $75,000 will give him a view of anything he can get with his clearance on his committee.
And so what does that tell you? That he's bringing Linda Moulton Howe, Stephen Greer, and Bob Bigelow and John Mack to his fucking ranch. That means that the answers he got from the most powerful people weren't good enough.
Or they're sexually adventurous.
So, or maybe they're sexually adventurous, or and I think when he goes, what do you mean you can't give me the answers? Or that is the answer. When he reaches that wall with the most powerful family, person on the planet, and trust me when I tell you, he's gonna hit a wall because there's nothing there. And I think that's unsatisfactory to him. So what does he do then? He calls all of the people that he's listened to on this topic and ask them questions. And I'm sure they all gave him answers that were probably satisfactory to him, and at least gave him some kind of, I think, comfort of his belief system. Like, just because you're a billionaire doesn't mean you're not susceptible to a belief system.
No, they're just people.
You know, they're just people, dude. And so I think now, if you had given me a picture with a couple of presidents, heads of state, and a Stephen Greer, then I'd be like,
Okay, that's a little weird. That one's a little harder to explain.
Was he
most of
not
these
still an ER doctor back then? In 1993, was he?
I mean, the doctors that I've heard explain his job, like the real doctors, have all made it a joke. Like he wasn't like a doctor. You know, and he was doing that job, I think, for less than 5 years. I mean, I was a cell phone salesman for 6 years in my early 20s. Does that make me a
Me
tower
too.
expert? You know
Me
what I
too,
mean? Like,
interestingly enough.
That
Yeah.
is weird.
it was a good job back in the day.
It was. I worked for Radio Shack back in the day. They paid
Yeah, but
well.
you got some decent commission. Yeah.
Right before they found out the CEO had never actually been to business school or college, and he beat his wife and had 7 DUIs. But damn, could he run a company?
Again, rich people are weird. Rich people are weird, man. You know, like, but like that photo, like that doesn't impress me at all.
Well, it wasn't meant to impress you. I was asking the question because I literally saw that photograph today, and I'm not impressed by it. But what I am by it is I'm freaked out by it.
You shouldn't be. That's what I'm saying. I don't always mean like I don't want to piss on it, but I'm just saying like it shouldn't impress you. It should impress you. If anything, you should be like, oh, billionaires are dummies too. Like that's what I see when I see that photo. I think if I was holding on to a belief system, I'd be way more impressed with that photo.
I mean, I see what you're saying. I do, but I do think I think there's a bigger picture in this than just fucking money. And that's not me.
What
that is not. I don't know, Lou. I have no idea. I have no idea what. I wish I would. I know what Lee would say if he was here because Lee's like balls deep in this. But it seems like they're wanting us to go down a certain path. Like, and it doesn't just seem about the money. Because it doesn't seem to be enough fucking money in it.
I think there's also
if you show me a trail of the money and you show me proof that that's the money they get, that because you're about proof, I'm about proof. Okay, but show me the money trail. That's what I'm talking about. If you show me the money trail and I can see that they're making X amount of fucking dollars, pounds, whatever.
Go see how many books they sold. What their TV deals look like.
That's small fucking money when it comes to
small money, man. Well, to Rockefellers, yes, but I mean, but there's no money. I would love to see the money line from Rockefeller to Disclosure. Show it to me. You know, like I'd love to uncover that. I don't think there is one because there's not.
Well, even if there was, wouldn't it be harder to find? Because surely Rockefeller would be smart enough to set up dummy corporations and offshore things that would not be traced back to them anyways, unless you digged and digged and digged and digged. But by the time you're digging, they're going to realize you're digging.
But what are we saying Rockefeller is doing with these dummy offshore accounts? Like, what is he hiding? What is
he's not saying he is. He's saying if he was accepting money, they wouldn't just take it to their personal
I don't
bank
think
account.
Rockefeller. No, I don't think. I'm not talking about Rockefeller. Like I'm talking about Greer. I'm talking about Elizondo. I'm talking about Fravor. I'm talking about the people that were on that board. Christopher Mellon. I think an extra $6 million being a consultant for a company looking into one of the America's national security issue. Yeah, I don't think anybody would say no to that.
Man, I'll be a consultant for $1 million if anybody's listening.
Fuck yeah,
Take me cheap, man.
Yeah, I'll look at this guy, man. And well, look, here's the thing too, right? Is I think there's going to be a couple of positive things that the government is going to be able to say when they spend all this money and do all of this research. They're going to be able to turn around and come out to the public with either Susan Goff or somebody like that from the Aero office, and they're going to say, okay, look. Here's the budget. Here's the scientists that look at it. Here's the cases we reviewed.
here's the conclusions we came up with. And after looking at it for 10 to 15 years, we can definitively say 100% that we are not being visited by alien craft. Also, we can say, and this is great, that we are now, and we have also secured airspace that we were not monitoring before. And our enemies were taking advantage of that airspace by creating balloons and drones with listening devices and spy devices to look at our most sensitive military areas. And they were making them weird on purpose because they knew that the stigma was so deep that nobody would report it. So we now have fixed that issue, and we've destigmatized the conversation with good facts, with scientific facts. Now we can tell all of our service members, hey guys, none of these are aliens. Report them when you see them because some shit's going down. And I think that is a huge, even if they spent $100 billion and they fixed all of those issues, I think the government can say, look, we were honest with you. This is a moment that we were honest with you. And we gave, and if they show, especially if they show all the research and all the videos and all the things that they looked at that don't reveal sources and methods, I think game over, man. That's it. It's going to be conversation over. And by that time, the money has already been spent. So nobody's going to care that Americans for Safe Aerospace got a $200 million contract to look at this part of the sky, and here's the equipment they bought, and here's what their members got paid out, and yada 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 yada. If everybody gets a $300,000 or $400,000 a year job where they're not really doing shit, other than maybe a public meeting or some sort of congressional thing where they got to give a progress report, that's a lot of money over 15 years. That's a few extra $1 million that you didn't have to do any actual hard work.
Who do you think gave Ross Coultart Grush?
Grush has been around for a while. Grush is an Eric Davis disciple. Grush was at the same conference that Squid was at last year, the SCU
was
conference.
He? Right.
Yeah. So
was he talking about it then?
I don't know. I wasn't there. But I mean, you would think, I know he's friends with Elizondo. I know that they did a 4-hour. Yeah. Yes. These are the guys. Yes, dude. Yeah. And it should be a big eye opener that every single major news outlet passed on that guy.
Do you know that is the partner fucking company to KLS?
The News Nation. Yeah, they also own Breaking Points. They own a bunch of fake progressive right, like I like to call diet right wing. It's a diet right wing party, kind of like Diet Coke. It's not quite the real thing, but it almost tastes the same.
See the left, the left, the right, the left, the right thing. I don't care about. I'm neither.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
I'm a man in the middle. I don't care. Both are corrupt. Both sides are absolutely corrupt.
Agreed, 100%. But there's only one side really paying attention to this story and making it a really big deal, and that tends to lean really right. And there's a few left, leaning politicians that are talking about this, but mostly this is a, and when I speak to my actual journalist friends that I've spoken to this with, they've said, well, the reason why they think UFOs is a big right-wing agenda thing, or not, it's not even big. It's like maybe it's in the top 10 of agenda. But the reason why Republicans tend to gravitate toward it is because it's a national security issue, so they could get more money for military spending. It's a trust issue. They could always look at the government and say, they're liars. Look at them. They lie all the time. And they could do that with UFOs and UAP, because the government has lied and has kept things secret and has done some shenanigans when it comes to that discussion. And I forgot the third thing, but I think you get my point here. Like,
I get your point. Yeah.
You know, it's there's
never trust the politician.
Never trust the politician, but it is strange that, you know, like that one party in particular is really, really pushing for this. And, you know, it's a bipartisan issue, but the NDAA always is a bipartisan issue.
But wasn't the left pushing for this when you had Tom DeLonge and you had that fucking stupid documentary? What was it called with Lou and Tom? Was it Unidentified?
Yeah, the TV show.
Okay, yeah, and you had like you had a 5-second interview with John Podesta.
Yeah.
It almost
no. You had Podesta. You had Clinton.
Do you not feel that they felt that it was going to go a certain way, and it would have gone to Hillary? And if it had done, there would have been definitely a different way of pushing this thing across.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll never know. We'll never know. But I don't think the playbook would have been that much different.
You got on that interview a 5-second interview with John Podesta that I guarantee was about at least 30 minutes, at the very least.
You would think, yeah. You would think
it was about. I mean, it said 5 words.
I'm trying to remember his appearance on Unidentified, because
you won't.
Yeah, no, it must have been really short, but I'm trying to remember how they shot it. Was it like a Zoom call, or was it something where production?
It was in a room. It was
okay. If it was in a room with a real camera, then yes, there had to have been a much longer interview. But I think guys like John Podesta probably had only sign on to those things with, you know, a green light to get final approval of what they use in the final cut, and whether or not he wants it in there. Wouldn't shock me, you know. So, you know, maybe he doesn't want to be in there a lot because, I don't know, maybe it would. Who cares? Like, who cares at this point? Like, I don't care what side. Like, both sides are, like you said, corrupt. But you know, I mean, even yesterday, like, Chuck Schumer is the one who just put out this new legislation where they have to give up the information in 300 days / 15 years. But, you know, that'll be something I think I talk about tomorrow with Rather. But
what you got coming up tomorrow with Rather?
Yeah, we're doing the show tomorrow.
Elaborate on that.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, we're just, you know, we're gonna do our monthly show. He was back home for the 4th of July, so we couldn't do our show on the first Tuesday of the month. But yeah, we haven't spoken since his name got doxed by good old Love and Light Dan Zetterstrom. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that. Because they're pissed off that they've got nothing else on us. They wish they had an arrest record for either one of us. They wish, man. Like, if either one of us had gotten in trouble as a kid, that's what they would do. That's what they would use. And so now instead they just make shit up. And when we make really good points, they get really angry. And that's them lashing out. That's the only thing they got, is to dox his information. That shows you how good their argument is. When they can't fucking argue with facts, they've got to dox you.
That's not cool.
No, it's not cool.
No.
So we're going to talk about it tomorrow, because we haven't spoken about it yet, and a bunch of other stuff. There's a lot of stuff him and I got to talk about, but that's going to be the big one. Is talking about why Dan Zetterstrom from that UFO podcast felt it necessary to reveal the name of someone that a lot of people don't like simply because of his opinions on UFO. And he doxed that to his 20,000 followers, you know, and now he's weaponized his 20,000 followers to harass, threaten, and try to intimidate Rather. And yeah, it's fucking gross.
Happy birthday, Lee.
Hey, Lee,
Cheers,
is
man.
it your
How you
birthday?
doing? Yeah, it was yesterday. I've just been out for it, but
Happy
we just
belated.
I was sat with some friends in my living room watching the show, and
Mm.
I had to jump in.
Yeah.
because you were talking about my favorite thing,
What's that?
the Podestas and Clinton. And,
Yeah.
but their connection to this whole thing, like
Mhm.
especially when you look at obviously stuff we can't talk about on the YouTube, but like
Yeah.
Podesta's artwork and stuff like that, or the Podesta, Tony Podesta's artwork,
Yeah.
the unfortunate connections that they seem to have. Does that not like taint the whole like disclosure project for you? Or is it a process?
It definitely doesn't help it. I mean, I think there's other reasons why it could tank. I mean, look, somebody I think it was actually Jay from Project Unity had posted a picture of a piece of art that was in Epstein's
I retweeted that, yeah.
collection. Okay, where with him, and the blocks and the towers as blocks on the floor with him holding airplanes, sort of intimating. Yeah,
also had a
intimating
picture of Bill Clinton in a dress as well in his artwork, in his collection.
And I think actually it was J. Christopher King who had made this point, and I was like, I fucking hate that guy, but that's a great point. And that was, hanging a picture like that in your office can really do all the work for you when you're trying to use someone.
Yeah.
Or you know what I mean? Like, let their imagination do the work as to what that picture means and why it's hanging in my office. Like that kind of painting already does half of the conspiratorial thinking.
It's a big dick move.
It's a big dick move. It's a huge, Well, I mean, how big of a dick do you have if you can't get real women to have sex with you and you have to solicit little girls? You know what I mean?
To be fair, that just might be what he's into. And we have to accept it.
Maybe, but
we have to
usually with guys with meat that hangs that strongly, they're pretty fucking confident in everything they do, and they don't have to send another woman to go recruit little girls.
Look, man, if
you know what I mean,
if you're in an operation which is taking the great and the good of the world, of the world's like political class and scientific class, and it takes some fucking confidence to be involved in that sort of stuff.
We need to skirt around it a little bit because we're on YouTube, but
I'm not that drunk, Ollie, don't worry.
No, you're not. Advice for Lou, because I was listening to your show and you said, I wish I could say this shit on here, YouTube. Go on, rock for me.
Oh, well, no, I don't think I meant that, but like, I just, like, I don't know, dude. Like, if I had to put my money on it, I would put no. But, hey, what do I know?
Lee, so I was saying to Lou, because I would say somebody who's had a show that has had so many characters on it within the UFO community, to terminate the entire show, but for somebody who's had an experience that he can't explain, but yet he blames it on memory. You also have had a very strange UFO experience that you can't explain.
Yeah.
I've had a strange experience with Dave in his garden with night vision goggles.
Yeah, but there was a 9-iron, a penguin, and a lot of lube involved. So let's just not bring that up. Okay. The penguin was stuffed. Jeez, I'm not a monster.
All right. Yep. As we dig with these, the details always matter.
I was saying that I feel that he's turned he's gone from one end of the spectrum to the other to just absolutely fuck off. It's not real. and that I also feel is part of what they do, and I feel like it broke you. So that's a question for Lee that I want to elaborate with yourself, because he's come on and he's obviously wanting to ask you some questions.
No, I just came in to join in, but
okay.
Well, I will say, you're right in that description, except I want to be wrong. I also leave the 0.00001% chance that, hey, maybe this is happening. And I've said before, if this is happening, if we are being visited, and all of those stories and all of those eyewitness testimony and all of that stuff for the most part is right when it comes to witnessing it, I don't think the United States military has caught it. I don't think any of them have crashed, if they're even technology. I don't think they've reversed engineered it. I don't think that they've dissected it. I don't think they have any piece of it at all in a lab, whether it be biological or technological. I think at the very best, they've observed it, and they've observed it for a very long time. And I think that observation over a very long time maybe has given them some answers and some clues as to maybe how this stuff works. I think maybe it has inspired us. And because I think if the United States military is looking at a phenomenon like that, I think the first thing the United States military says to itself is, okay, how does that work? And can we reproduce it? And I think I will put nothing past the power of human ingenuity. I think human ingenuity it got us on the moon. It put computers in all of our pockets. Yeah, all right, don't start, Lee. It put computers in all of our pockets. You know what I mean? We're able to have a conversation like this. You know, I think things like science fiction, Star Trek, for example, that inspired a lot of shit. That inspired a lot of new thinking and a lot of innovation, and a lot of the things that happened in Star Trek that were theorized or written about as a science fiction plot in Star Trek, a lot of those things have become reality in a lot of ways. And so
it's time to change the background.
Maybe. Oh, there you go. There you go. So, you know, like, I think if it's happening, we've observed it at best, and that observation has led to inspiration, and that inspiration has led to innovation, and that innovation is being covered with the story of UFOs, with the idea, with the lore of UFOs. And I think that gives them all the space in the world to operate these things wherever they want, because people will always point to the sky and go alien instead of U.S. Navy. And that's exactly what they want.
So, well,
you know,
but
so that's what I would say.
An extreme way of doing it. Like, that seems, because what I'm confused with right now, because I agree with everything you just said. Like, I don't think there's crashed flying saucers in someone's garage. I don't think we're cutting them up on tables. But I think there has to be some other reason why all of a sudden they want my mum and dad to think that aliens are real.
Because I think, and I was explaining earlier, part of the reason why they're going to start asking for contracts and looking into this, I think when in classified settings, I think they want to bring a couple of things: the attention to the drone issue, the attention to the spy balloon issue, and they also want to make things safer for every single one of their pilots that are operating in that fly zone. And I also think they want to make everybody aware of the problem without looking stupid. And so I think this is a way to do it. This is a way to have the conversation. It's a way to approve budgets, because if you tell people, hey, we think there might be aliens there, can we have some money to look at it, is a lot better than, hey, we kind of stigmatize this topic so much that our enemies have taken advantage of an airspace and making shit look weird on purpose. Could we have some money?
But
you know what I mean? Like,
it's so bad for the Cold War.
It
didn't do so bad for the Cold War.
No.
It's the amount of money that was put into those sort of projects during the Cold War.
I'm not
to me,
saying, look,
that's what would happen. But
maybe,
for some reason, they want us to believe that we're being visited by extraterrestrials.
I think we're gonna. I think the reason why
can be for money.
I think the reason why is because personally, I believe we've had a big breakthrough tech-wise somewhere, and I think they're starting to test. I think they're starting to test this thing, and I think there's a couple of reasons why they want it, because they want everybody used to the idea, but they want people yelling alien and UFOs before they yell military.
I could take that. I can, yeah.
And I think that's a fucking great reason, man. Because look, Jeremy McGowan told me this, and I think I said this on this show. Like, what was the nuclear bomb other than a really big bomb? It was a message to the rest of the world. Game over. The United States is here. We're in charge. Game over. And if for the last 70, 80 years since that bomb has gone off, there has not been a message like that from the United States. And in a lot of ways, the rest of the world has caught up. And so how do you show the rest of the world that you're still in charge? Fly some of this shit in certain places and get people, the public, yelling UFO, alien, but behind the scenes, the real intelligence that the Kremlin and China is getting is, oh shit, it's theirs.
But wouldn't the best thing you could do in that case then was not to, not to do it in your own airspace? But if you've got the type of craft that can invade adversaries' airspace with impunity, go in, zip out, and come back, you just do that.
Because that would be, because then everybody would know exactly who that was.
No, you wouldn't. You'd be doing the same thing. You'd be doing the same thing that was what's happening in the US, as in, like, say, a Tic Tac or whatever it is. It would be.
Well, but you're saying dropping a bomb.
No,
right?
no. What
you're
I'm saying is, you would just have something with the capabilities of a Tic Tac, would turn up in Beijing airspace, and then float about, and then fuck off. Leave it up to them to work out whose it is.
Yeah, maybe. But I think especially with the tensions that you have with a country like China, I think it's a strong message, just like the nuclear bomb. Game over, boys. And this is checkmate. Forget about game over. This is checkmate. Like, this is the non-discussion. And I think it's also a great way to get other countries to, even if you want them. And I think what you're saying, Lee, is a very real possibility, because I think if China goes, oh shit, what was that? Was that the Americans? I don't know. Our intelligence says yes. Okay, shit, we need one of those. And now they're directing billions and billions and billions of dollars of their budget to a technology that they're not going to figure out for God knows how long, which means you've got them now, but you've got their attention on things that they're wasting their time on. And so that leaves them vulnerable other places, if that makes sense. So basically a way to get them, put information out there to get them to devote their resources to that, so they're not building the next aircraft carrier or the next satellite disruption system or the next whatever. They're focusing all their attention on catching up with the Joneses, so to speak.
It always feels like they're catching up with the Jones.
Yeah.
That's the thing with the ufology. I think everybody's trying to catch up with the fucking Jones.
Well, I mean,
not me.
You know,
I'm trying to be the Jones.
No.
I'm trying to be the Jones, right?
You're different, man.
I want people trying to catch up to me, man.
You got it, brother.
You're pulling the channel back after the absolute fucking the nuke that you dropped on it. You're pulling it back.
Yeah, it's still in a nosedive, but yeah, we're not as
That's
steep
because
of a
you're
dive.
telling everybody it's not real.
Yeah, I know. It's not as sexy. It's not fun. It's not as fun, dude.
But the problem is, you're telling people it's not real, and you're telling people as fact it's not real. And the thing is, you can't be that confident. You can't be 100% confident.
Sure, I can. Why can't I be? there's no proof.
No, but there's no proof. It's not. I mean, you can go.
But hold on a second. Without the claim, why do I need that proof? If you're going to make the claim, if you're going to have
extraordinary claims, need extraordinary
making
evidence,
the claim,
yep.
right? Like, and so for a while, I bought that claim. I subscribed to that claim. I was a prophet of that claim in a lot of ways.
But absence of evidence isn't evidence of absence.
But I got a little bit more than absence of evidence and evidence of absence. I got a front row seat to how the sausage was made.
Oh yeah, no, you had the guys. Don't get me wrong.
I
respect that you had the guys,
and I also have an experience, right?
Exactly.
I got it all.
Exactly.
I got all of it.
You have an experience.
I got all of it.
That you are blaming on memory. That
I am not blaming anything. I'm not blaming anything.
Okay.
I'm just saying it's not. I'm just not using it. I'm not blaming it.
You can.
I'm not
use
discrediting it.
But I think that you still think about that, and I
all
think
the time.
And I think you still
struggle with it.
Yes. So it can't be all bullshit.
Ollie, just because I struggle with it doesn't make it what I am struggling with or what my belief system thinks it is. Right? Like,
but you're talking to 4 guys here. I don't know about Hidden. I don't know if Hidden's had an experience. I know he's put loads of footage on his channel. But you're talking to 4 guys who have had weird shit. We've had paranormal discussions about stuff that's gone. We've even, like, Dave took us out when we went to the States a few months ago.
Hey, man, that was just a one-time Boy Scouts. We don't have to bring that up on this show.
No, but like,
he doesn't want to play anything on this show.
Let that go.
Let it go.
Ollie move on, man.
Ollie. Go fucking start.
Dave put his hands up. He was stood behind Ollie, and Ollie could still feel his finger in his bum. Like, his mind was blown.
I'm a magician.
Oh my god.
No, but we've looked at the paranormal as well as UFOs. We've all seen UFOs. I don't know if you've seen UFOs Hidden yourself, or
I have. Yeah, I've had 2.
Okay.
I've had 2 where I can sit there and say, yeah, that was genuine. Something, to my opinion, shouldn't have been there. Do you want me to tell you, or? Because I didn't have them like when I was young. I mean, I've had them. I think a sighting, when you have a sighting, it really sticks with you. And I mean, the one that I really always think about that was mind blowing was the absence of the object. I was with 2 other people. Yeah, that's what I mean. I was with 2 other people. So, and they both saw what I was looking at because I noticed it first, but I noticed this circular shadow. And now I'm on top of a hill, so I'm looking down a valley, a clear summer's day, not a cloud in the sky. All right. And I'm noticing these circular objects, and I couldn't tell you how big they were in diameter, but they were big, and they were moving across. Just the shadow was just moving across the ground. Now I saw one go past, and then I noticed another one. And this is when I started looking in the sky, and there was nothing there that could be giving this shadow off. You know, no tall buildings, nothing around, nothing in the air. And what was even weirder, now I always have a crappy phone. I don't have the newest phones. I never do because it does what it does. So I pulled out my, well, and plus all I need a phone for is to answer calls and send texts. Other than that, I don't need. So I went to pull out my phone to record what I was seeing. My phone wouldn't work. Now, I could have put that down to the phone being crap. But then the person next to me pulled out his phone, and his phone was much more better than mine. And he turned to me and he said, this has never happened before. His phone wouldn't work. We couldn't film it. That to me always stood out in my head. That would always say that. I will always say that to me, that something was there. I don't, if you want to use the word cloak, but it was something that was invisible, but they couldn't get over the shadow because the shadow was there. It was perfectly round, as like a plate. I don't want to use the word saucer because I couldn't see the object that was cast in it. but the
That's
direction.
the first time I've heard that, Hidden.
No, well, seriously, I've seen that. That's what I've seen with my own eyes. And there was no object in the sky, and I'm talking, there's no clouds, there's nothing. And I could make out, because it looked like it would have been coming straight down, because it was a perfect circle. There wasn't nothing to it. But I crossed the road, I looked. Even some person from across the road was asking me, what am I looking at? And I was pointing, saying, can't you see that on the ground? So that was
how long ago was that?
Oh, God. I'm probably going to have to go back and say an easy 15 years ago.
I mean, it couldn't have been that good of a cell phone camera 15 years ago.
Yeah, I used to sell them, but
you know what I'm saying?
They did have a
If
camera.
I remember,
They were terrible.
yeah, mine had a camera.
Yeah.
But even if I had, see, this is the point. This is my point with this. I will never really go into any, because I didn't have a picture. I didn't have video. So in the world's eyes, and this is the world I live in, there's no evidence.
Right.
And then like my second sighting happened so quick that all I could say was, what the F is that? And it was pretty much over.
We've said fuck a lot on this channel. It's fine. And you can say that.
You know me, I'm a good Christian. Not really, but you know me.
Sorry, I probably dropped all of those F-bombs. That was probably me.
So it's okay. Ollie's a right cunt. It's fine.
He definitely is.
You're not going to get monetized now.
Well, here's going to be my thing, right? And please, I'm not saying I don't believe you, right? And I think you said the very last thing you said is perfect, right? It's not like I don't have proof, right? And unfortunately, that's just what it is. But I will say the one thing that stuck out about that story was the cell phone part of it. 15 years ago, you know, that was, what was that, 2003?
Could have
Was
been.
my math right on that?
I think that's when the first iPhone was out.
Yeah.
Well, I don't bother with that.
And if it had it was 2003, and again, being a couple of guys that sold cell phones here, I think 2003 was around the first time we got the iPhone, and before that it was just flip phones with really crappy cameras. My point here's
95.
Right, but here's my point, is that the way you told the story, it sounded like, and correct me if I'm wrong here, boys, or if you took it a different way, but in my brain that sounded a lot more recent than 2013.
Nah, because, well, see, I can easily go back and say, well, I wasn't with my partner, I haven't had my child yet, so I know that it's easy 15 years.
Yeah,
easy.
No, so yeah, no, but I guess my point is that memory.
No, but I can remember it as if it was yesterday. This is what I'm trying to say. My memory ain't playing tricks on me. I remember what I saw. I know exactly where it was that I saw this. And if I could get in touch with the two other people, they could turn around and say, but then we could say, well, look, they're your mates. This is, and we're all banding together to tell the story without one piece of picture. Yeah. That's the world I live in. So I shoot myself in my own foot by telling this story, because I don't, but it's what I saw. Whether you choose to believe me or not, that's fair enough. I don't know, because I have no evidence.
It's not so much belief. It's just, and like I've told Ollie before, and just I'll use my memory as an example. And here's just the facts about memory and how your brain accesses memory.
I don't know if Hayden knows your story about the big yellow thing in the sky.
Well, it doesn't really matter what the story is. The point is that every time I remember that story, my brain is not accessing the original memory. It's accessing the last time I remembered it. So it changes every single time that you access that memory. So there's a professor. Hold on, wait. I'll finish with this. There's a professor at the University of Delaware that conducted an experiment 2 days after 9/11. He had his class write every single thing that they remember about that day, where they were, who they were with, all the details. 4 years later, when that class graduated, he had them do the same thing again. Almost every single one of them was different. Every single one. And that's just 4 years.
It's weird that
All
you
I'm
chose
saying
9/11
is, well, because that is a memory that people will always claim. I'm never going to forget where I was that day. All of them did. All of them did.
Yeah, but
and what I'm telling you, and I swear I'll finish after this, is that memory that you think you don't have wrong. I'm telling you 100% definitively, scientifically, factually, it's wrong.
Something.
Parts of it are definitely right. The event for sure happened. There's a visceral emotion that's attached to it. I'm not saying it didn't happen. All I'm saying is that every time you access that memory, whether you realize it or not,
you remember it.
It's changing. It's
No,
changing.
but what I'm trying, well, nothing has changed with my story. I told you exactly how it was.
No, he's not saying that.
No, I know what you're saying, but what if other people's memories are a lot different? They took a core group of people, they did a study. No, you can shake your head, but I'm telling you what they did. They took a core group of people, they did a study, and what they got, the results of that study, they're equating it to everybody on the planet. Now, we know that certain people, their memories are different. They're savants that remember everything in detail. So it's not right what you're saying. It isn't right. You don't know how my mind works. And I'm telling you, I remember it exactly how it was. And I can remember that as if it was yesterday. Okay. But I can't remember where I was when Princess Diana died. I won't remember that. Right. But I was somewhere.
I was in Spain as a kid. I can remember that. I saw it in the newspapers and I thought, what the hell's all this about? And I didn't understand it because I was very young.
I was upset WWF Superstars wasn't on.
Well, I will say that when you have a car accident in the middle of a busy intersection and 50 people see it, you get 50 different stories. You can get 50 different versions of the accident.
One of them's going to be right, though.
Sure. Yeah, one of them's going to be right.
We did that same test when we were at school. But do you remember that when they did the memory test at school, when somebody runs in and steals a purse, and then they asked you who did that? Describe us to it. And then everybody, some people said he had a hat, some say he didn't. Some even said it was a woman.
Right. Right. I think you're kind of proving my point a little bit.
No, I know what you're saying, but there's always one who got it right. So it's not a given. I know how statistics works. I know how statistics work.
All right.
So I know the game.
Okay, but just because it's right doesn't mean it's alien.
Oh, I didn't say it was alien. I said I saw something.
Right.
That's right. That's what I always saw something, but it was something to me that I couldn't comprehend.
I think we should get to the bottom of that. And I think
there's no proof.
Well, look at what's happening, right? You've got NASA and a group of independent scientists looking at it. And now you've got government dollars behind it. So people are looking at it. And also places like SETI and astronomers have looked at it.
I'll get them.
For decades. I think a conversation that every believer or every eyewitness or every experiencer should listen to is the conversation that Neil deGrasse Tyson just had with Kurt Jaimungal and sort of what to do. It's not that these theories or that exploring these theories is wrong. I think if you want to pursue those things and if you could get the budget to do it, absolutely go for it. Because clearly something's happening. Everybody can't be wrong, but everybody can be misinterpreting it. Possibly.
Oh, yeah. That's what I deal with.
It could be just like, I mean, just a few hundred years ago, earthquakes, people thought that was gods under the earth's crust, getting mad at us. And until we had science catch up to it, now we have an explanation as to what earthquakes are. And I think maybe this phenomenon falls under that kind of category where, without a doubt, I saw something. It happened for sure. I just don't know what the fuck it is. And I would love for somebody to get to an answer for me. So that way I can let it go finally. I want that closure. But I think it's, and I'm not going to say this without pointing the finger at myself first. I think you could fall into a dangerous way of thinking and a dangerous rabbit hole by taking that experience and going full bore with it into whatever hole you dive into, because sometimes you just don't get out of it. And that to me is a lot more damaging to personal relationships.
Can become people's personalities. It becomes person's identities.
Yeah. You know, we're like, you're at family dinner and this is the thing you're talking to the family about at Christmas. And everybody's like, Lou, every fucking Christmas with you. Stop it. Okay, we get it.
Okay, you saw something, mate.
You saw something. Great. You know, but like, I think most people, you know, like, they're just like, dude, just show me when it's here. When you got something really good, then I'm here. I'm ready. And I think that's kind of where I've just gone back to in a way, my normal life, because I've been paying attention to a lot of the things that I stopped paying attention to, like my acting career, like my golfing, like my personal health, like my mental health. All of that stuff started falling to the wayside when I was doing my show, because I've went so deep that I started a political grassroots campaign to get to the bottom of it.
I saw that.
You know what I mean?
The big phone home.
The big phone home, you know, but like,
do another one.
No, he said, are you?
Yes.
If I do another one, it will probably have nothing to do with UFOs.
Right now,
that would be good. I think right now, I think right now, I got a really, you know, California's in a very interesting place right now. We just had the writers' strike. The actors went on strike. SAG went on strike yesterday. I've been working in the gig economy to supplement my income. And I have noticed that, and it took me a while to figure this out, but as an Uber driver, they take 50% of the fare. Whoa. So if you're paying $30 on the app, that means that the driver is getting 15 at most. Wow. And in some cases, they take more. And I was shocked to learn that information. And so I went to my congressman's office yesterday because I wanted to talk to a staffer and make them aware of this issue, because I had not heard about this before. And lo and behold, what was at that congressman's chamber of commerce? A whole bunch of fucking people protesting the exact same thing, and also protesting the treatment of fast food workers. Because I think you see Amazon workers striking. I saw a billboard for United Pilots are about to strike. Amazon, Starbucks. There are groups of workers that are unionizing, and this corporate greed has gotten out of control. And I think my attention might start shifting toward that. I think everything that I learned with the big phone home and how to organize people and how to bring attention to a problem, I think I'm just going to cut and paste that and use it for this issue, because I think there's a lot of workers out there that are really, really being squeezed to death for every single dollar that they're working for, both by state and federal taxes and now by corporations. It is egregious. And it seems to me that a lot of these corporations and production companies are just waiting for AI. They're just waiting out this labor dispute until AI can solve their issues. And it's not going to be in the next year, but in the next 10 to 15 years, AI is going to be a big problem for almost everybody. Everybody. Yep. And if you think corporations,
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, I think especially like a Jeff Bezos, he is paying the least amount of money to all of these delivery drivers and all of these sorters and he's writing the laws so he doesn't have to provide good work environments or any of that shit, because he is setting up the infrastructure for all of these places to eventually be run by Boston Dynamic robots. And he's going to buy a fleet of them, and he'll have a couple of actual humans to work on those things and make sure those, but eventually those people will be replaced by robots that clean the other robots, so I think he sees it coming. And I think he's doing everything legislatively to make sure that people don't get raises, don't get pensions, don't get retirement, don't get overtime, don't get a fucking bathroom that's within a walkable distance in a 15-minute period. I think there's a war coming, a class war, and it's going to get really ugly because workers are sick of this shit. I'm sick of this shit. I wake up every day at 4 a.m, work till 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'm not going to reveal how much I make, but it's not a lot. And it's ridiculous to think that, wow, half of my money went to buying somebody's yacht.
Thank you.
So, look. Oh my God, that is hilarious.
Lee, you can't let the gimps out like that, man. People are going to start talking.
People.
He's got house pie happening downstairs.
Nah, let's not talk about Lee's private life.
Everybody needs help now and again.
It's not help, Lee, if you don't pay them and they're not allowed out.
That was one of the best moments I've ever seen in
Good point.
Stream.
Good point.
So you're the guy that took the Ukrainian refugees in, huh?
Hey man, if you buy one, you get 6 free. Come on,
stupid.
Yeah.
So folks, we've nearly gone 3 hours now. I just realized.
Say what?
Wow,
that's what happens when you have a good show, mate.
Yeah. Well, next Friday we've got Neil Hancock and Graham Hancock Gardner on the show.
Graham Hancock's Gardner
on the show. Yeah,
we're playing 10
we're that tier of show.
Wow,
we got Graham Hancock's Gardner coming on the show.
Is he Mexican?
No, it's okay.
I don't
know. Is he actually? That's a good question.
Cool as shit.
That's a solid question.
If he's not a Latino, you might want to question it. Yeah. That's all I'm going to say. How good of a gardener can he be?
Those lines aren't straight. That's for fucking sure.
There's actually, you know what's weird is there's like a couple of guys on YouTube that do these where they go to like old people's houses and they're like, hey, I'll mow your lawn and uncover your driveway that's under grass for free, and they time lapse the whole process and then play it on their channel, and for some reason it's like ASMR. It's like just so relaxing to watch a guy mow a lawn in 20 minutes. Have you guys seen this, or am I the only one here?
I've seen it.
No, yeah.
Okay.
People's yards.
Okay. Yeah. So those guys aren't usually Mexican guys. So I mean, I guess that was my point. I was just joking.
Yeah. So late Sunday. Do you know what you're doing yet,
Dave? What are we going to talk about on Sunday?
My time in the Boy Scouts.
Right. That's it.
There we go. Why don't you do a whole show on Lou's lack of belief in UFOs and how lack of Lou, how they've destroyed him and just turned him into a naysayer when it comes to ufology? I think you should do a show on that.
I think we need to talk about Lee's gimps.
We should call him the other Midwest.
I knew he had one. I just didn't know he had two.
Hopefully, we're hoping that. Well, one knows another, but we're hoping.
They don't know anyone. They don't leave the house.
Why do you both invite Goof?
We're hoping Graham Hancock's Gardner. We're hoping Graham Hancock's Gardner will lead to Linda Moulton House gynecologist. That's
oh dear God. Oh dear.
That'll be an epically cavernous episode. I feel like it would just be a hole in the conversation.
Boy, oh boy.
We might smell something foul from that discussion.
How many puns can we get out of this?
Might get an itch.
Well, you can just look at the new LiDAR footage from Skinwalker Ranch episode, and that might give you a...
What was that conspiracy? Melvin's Hole? Was that the conspiracy where they kept losing things?
Yeah. I think it was.
Yeah.
What's
where
that?
it's a wormhole on the ranch that leads to another dimension.
God, those guys, they just don't stop, do they?
They don't stop, man. I don't at this point. Yeah, it's I've had some interesting private conversations. Yeah, it's I don't know why they're digging their heels in on that one, but they are.
Weird.
I love this. Lou is just a reverse psychology psyop.
I think I agree.
I think you went to the abyss and you looked in there.
Yeah.
Well, I'll
No,
tell
we
you
don't have
this.
the gynecologist on yet.
Lou
Hold
rhymes.
on to that.
Lou rhymes with new. Lou World Order. I can.
Lou World Order. I kind of do dig that, but I will
Lou?
say,
Oh God, that's the best. You should rename the channel.
Lou World
Lou
Order.
World Order.
World Order.
That's
not
good.
bad. That's not
I'm
bad.
gonna change my name to Lou just to do that.
Just to do that. I will say that being a reverse psychological psyop operator does not pay well. So if you know of any other agencies that need one, let me know. And I'd love to submit my resume because boy, they're not paying well. Yeah.
So speaking about paying well, go support Lou Reviews. Go check him out. Lou, what you doing a show with Squid tomorrow?
Yeah, we're gonna do one tomorrow. I think at 5:00 Pacific Standard. So right at exactly right now. What time is it for you over there, Ollie?
It is 1 a.m.
Yeah. So
I
at 1
may
a.m.
be up
UK.
for that. I'm going out around Leeds tomorrow.
1 a.m. UK and 5 p.m. Pacific. That'll be 8 p.m. Eastern. So yeah, don't miss it. It'll be fun. We've got a lot to talk about tomorrow. I don't know if we'll get it all in, but yeah.
I would love you to bring because Rava's been on, well, you'll know that Rava's been on here before, but we've never had you both on together. Love to get you. That'd be
I'm sure.
Be a cool
sure
conversation.
We can make something happen.
Hidden. Before we go, have you got anything coming out?
Man, no, it's pretty quiet, man.
That's what I like to hear because you're not gonna put out some shit, unless you get it.
Yeah.
You know, I was actually thinking I might do a show tonight. I wanted to do one yesterday. I mean, I'm sure you saw yesterday that John Greenwald FOIA'd the video that I made about Jeremy Corbell's claims that Lazar was using magnets to clean out ball bearings for the U.S. Naval Academy. And so we FOIA'd whether or not that was true. Turns out it's not. So,
are you aware that we're doing a documentary on Bob Lazar?
No.
Lee, what's he called again?
Run the trailer, Ollie. We have the trailer.
Oh, you have a trailer?
Have we got the trailer?
Run the trailer.
We do have the trailer, I think.
Fucking hell. It's almost like you've been here all night and I've just turned up. Crazy.
Oh, yeah, we got the trailer.
This is a long, detailed story. Robert Scott Lazar.
Bob 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 Lazar.
Is he worthy of our trust?
I'm known for working at a classified base.
Is there any doubt that he worked at Area 51?
Area 51.
What's really going on at Area 51?
We want to be accurate. Okay. Area S4.
I mean, I thought I set the record straight 30 years ago.
I'm intrigued.
So much, but it's not.
I'll watch it.
It's not going to be July. It's probably going to be August because there's a lot of narrating to do. A lot. I think.
You know what? You should just change that to coming soon.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that way you don't have to put a date on it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just put coming soon. And then once you got the final cut in the can, send it to me. I'll take a look at it. I'll give you some notes. And then you guys could do whatever the hell you want with my notes. Burn them, fart on them, use them. I don't care. And then
then
it's
pick a date.
Stu's pulling it all together. I mean,
yeah. I like the trailer. The trailer looked. I'm intrigued. You got me interested.
Yeah, it's I've seen a lot of the stuff that's going on behind the scenes of that, and there's a lot of he's been. How long has he been doing this for now? I need to bring
it's a GIMP revolt.
Love it.
Dude, you got to get better quality leather straps.
This is the purge.
You need. Are they striking
this is foreplay, I think. This is foreplay.
Wow.
He's in for a night tonight.
You like it, Lee. You like it rough.
You know what? I'm gonna say Lee is hanging lower than anyone. He's got babes coming into his room begging him to come out and play while he's on the live stream with the boys talking about aliens.
That's how he maintains his dominance.
Lee, go enjoy that
in his house.
Yeah, go enjoy that birthday, man.
He's not just a daddy; he's a daddy.
Yeah.
That birthday will be there later. It's fine.
I'll tell you one thing.
See,
they're not going to be
that's
saying.
Confidence. You see that? That's confidence right there. That's a man who is very confident in what's going down.
Yeah,
You know
he has gimps locked in his house. He knows exactly how tonight is.
Lou, you got so excited. You've got so excited. You've muted yourself.
There we go. There we go. Oh man, I've been doing that a lot lately. I got to grab the mic here now. This is anyway.
On that note, people, I'm going to end the show because we've gone 3 hours. Jesus Christ!
That's fun, man. Thanks for having me, guys. This is always a blast talking to you guys.
I didn't mean to be quiet, but I've been texting his gimps all night.
I'll knock us out with tonight's intro. Go check out the Lou reviews in the description below because the video, the clip that you're about to see is in the description. The full video. It's a good video. And also Jay is in the description. Good night. God bless. Mind the bugs don't bite. If you want to support the channel, feel free. It's free to hit the thumbs up. It's free to hit the subscribe. But if you want to spend some money, then go bloody well do it if you can afford it.
Okay. People are going to question what I'm about to say. What if some of that shit is so big it can't be moved?
Is that what you're saying, Ross? Is that what you've been told?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
How big is big?
Big. So big, they built a building over it in a country outside of the United States of America. I know that sounds preposterous, and I know, oh my God, you can just hear them now, the bleating debunkers.
I'm not one to ask people to burn sources, but if Ross Coulthart claims is true, he can cause disclosure by publishing the location. Completely legitimate request. Ross is sitting on disclosure, period.
I just realized him talking about that shit that's too big to move. Sound like a really excited proctologist. Like, this shit's too big to move. Do you mean we got to operate or like the laxative's not enough?
He is trolling us at this point, man.
Oh,
he's just trolling us.
You know, if you ever had one of those